Chapter 781. The 4 matches had been defeated. I'm afraid that it will be very difficult for our Tiger clan to win the second round. There are 2 more rank 5 true spirit experts in Dragon Clan, especially that Long Zuying. He has already reached the peak of the rank 5 true spirit, so it is impossible for Hukin to be her match. If I can get second place and get 30% of the mine deposit, that would be great. Haha. The first place belongs to our Dragon Clan. Hukin is the only cultivator from the Tiger Clan, and it is said that Hukin's strength is even weaker than her brother. I think that Zhu Ying will be able to win this second round without even having to fight. Eagle Clan was really unlucky. They only sent 2 people and only 1 expert from the rank 5 true spirit was left. The remaining fellow from the Eagle Clan seems to have just stepped into the rank 5 true spirit realm not long ago. He is definitely not a match for our little sister. In the center of the arena, the 4 great lordess words were filled with force. The surrounding 4 clans' cultivators were also discussing with each other. As the crowd was in an uproar, everyone, the second round of the competition begins now. After a while, Zhao Dongjing spoke again, the 2 hourglasses in his hands rotating at the same time. Hu Yan, you go first. Hu Zhao pondered for a moment, then nodded at Hu Yan. Ever since the first round of the battle between Dragon Clan and himself had ended, his brows had been knitted tightly, and even until now, he had not yet relaxed. With regards to the second round of the competition, he did not have much confidence. Out of the cultivators in the rank 5 true spirit, only 1 was left of the Tiger Clan, and there were still 2 in the Dragon Clan. Compared to the Dragon Clan, the Tiger Clan did not have any advantages. After the first round ended, although Hu Zhao did not utter a word, he was cursing the Eagle Clan's trash in his heart more than once. He originally thought that amongst the 4 clans, the 10 of them would be the strongest, but he never expected that they would suffer a crushing defeat in the first round. Even if he lost, he'd have to at least lose a bit better, right? There were so many rank 5 true spirit cultivators, other than the one that was left behind, the rest were all taken care of by the 2 Dragon Clan cultivators. Yes, sir. Hu Yan clenched his teeth and walked out with large strides. The battle between Dragon Clans had indeed shocked him. Right now, even if a cultivator from the rank 4 true spirit attacked him, he would not be as confident as he was yesterday. If the Dragon Clan was fighting an expert from the rank 5 true spirit, he would even less confident. However, Hu Yan was also very clear that the reason Hu Zhao sent him out to battle the first was to test Dragon Clan. And what he did was just cannon fodder. This made Hu Yan feel aggrieved, but he could do nothing about it. Whoosh! In the next moment, a slight sound of breaking through the air could be heard, and a tall figure appeared in front of Hu Yan. Dragon Clan, Long Yuanfan. Tiger Clan. Hu Yan cupped his hands together, and said with a bitter face. This Long Yuanfan was one of the 2 remaining rank 5 true spirit cultivators in Dragon Clan. One of them was such an expert. It seemed that Dragon Clan had the same idea as before, to sweep across Tiger Clan, and defeat all 5 of them by himself. Kid, you're not planning on admitting defeat? Long Yuanfan licked his lips, baring his teeth, his expression sinister, as if he was a beast that had starved for dozens of days and seen fat and fresh meat. Hu Yan's heart trembled, but he forced himself to calm down, and said solemnly, in this world, only the defeated Tiger Clan, and no Tiger Clan who lost without fighting. The moment the words came out, Hu Yan had already activated the Black Tiger Great Image, and stared fiercely at Long Yuanfan who was in front of him. Alright, Long Yuanfan roared ferociously. A golden dragon had already roared out from his body, tearing through the air as it pounced towards Hu Yan. The dragon's roar resounded through the sky. A terrifying pressure followed along with the golden dragon's pouncing force, as though it wanted to crush Hu Yan into pieces. Roar! In the midst of the angry roar, Hu Yan was already a body and great image integration. His body quickly expanded to become a black tiger soaring up into the sky, his mouth open to the limit, as he pounced to bite the dragon head. However, the dragon's head only moved for a second before it dodged. A dragon claw stretched out from an extremely tricky angle. With a bang, the dragon claw imprinted itself onto the belly of the black tiger. Ooh! The body of black tiger Peng Shuo twisted. He only had enough time to let out a miserable cry before he was ruthlessly sent flying. He crashed into the ground, causing countless dust and sand to fly into the air. The moment the black tiger landed on the ground, a thick dragon tail slapped down from the sky. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Boom! In a split second, an explosive sound filled the sky, and the pit expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. Inside the pit, the black tiger had only just propped itself up when it laid down again. It sank deeper into the earth and did not move again. Poor fellow. On the right side of the arena, Tang Huan watched with stinging teeth, and secretly mourned for Hu Yan for a second. Hu Yan was a cultivator of the peak rank 4 true spirit, so logically speaking, even if Long Yuan Fan was stronger than him, he would not have been able to defeat him so easily. But unfortunately, before the battle, Hu Yan was already afraid, and felt that he would definitely lose. In the end, as expected, he was defeated by 2 opponents. He can't even withstand a single blow. On the side of the pit, Long Yuan Fan curled his lips in disdain. In the sky above his head, an angered sound came out. When the people of Tiger Clan heard that, they all looked angry, and the people at the side of the stage also looked angry to the extreme. Brother Hu, I'm sorry, our Dragon Clan will be leading for the time being. In the center of the arena, Long Xingquan stroked his beard and said with a smile, it's still quite long. Hu Lai chuckled. He did not seem to be worried at all. By the side, Qian Yu was all smiles while Ying Feikan remained silent with a dark expression. When Long Yuan Fan had defeated Hu Yan, the first battle between Snake Clan and himself had already ended. The 2 clans had sent out cultivators of the rank 5 true spirit from the very beginning, but in the end, they still won easily. After this battle, it meant that Snake Clan's victory was already set, and he would no longer have the power to turn the tables. In the eyes of the rest of the people, including the majority of the cultivators in Tiger Clan, there was no suspense at all for the battle between Dragon Clan and herself. Number 1 in Dragon Clan, number 2 in Tiger Clan. This kind of result was already decided from the very beginning. After all, the difference in strength between the remaining cultivators of the 2 sides was huge. Indeed, nothing unexpected happened in the following battles. Second round, Sun Yunlin, who was sent out by the Tiger Clan, lost. The third battle, Tiger Clan's peak rank 4 true spirits Huo Gang, defeated. Fourth round, Hu Qin from the rank 5 true spirit will fight. Sun Yunlin and Huo Gang's performance was much better than Hu Yan's. They had successfully exhausted a portion of Long Yuan Fan's strength, and this also allowed Hu Qin to be on par with them when he was slightly weaker than Long Yuan Fan. In the end, the fourth match lasted for more than a quarter of an hour. Dragon Clan, Tiger Clan was defeated. Chapter 782. It's up to you now. Damn, this group of people from Dragon Clan, all of them looked like they took aphrodisiac. Just Long Yuan Fan alone used up 4 of our Tiger Clanness. This round, our Tiger Clan suffered a terrible defeat. Haha, I'm so sorry for laughing. The fellows from Tiger Clan were previously mocking us, but now their performance is even worse than ours. There's only one more match left. Dragon Clan's most powerful Long Zuying has yet to fight. Tiger Clan might as well just admit defeat, so as to avoid being injured. Dragon Clan first, Tiger Clan second, Snake Clan third, Eagle Clan fourth. TSK. At first I thought that Eagle Clan would be number 1. Sighs, curses, cheers. All sorts of sounds converged into a huge sound wave, rippling back and forth in the sky. Whoosh! Not long after, a figure shot out like lightning from Dragon Clan's side. This time, the one sent out by Dragon Clan was a young man, who was nearly 2 meters tall, but had a baby face, making him look like he was 17 or 18 years old. When he glanced at the people of Tiger Clan, his young and tender face revealed a trace of clear disdain and contempt. Who dares to fight against me? The young man stood up straight and arrogantly as he shouted out loudly, Commander, let me go up. Zhuo Zongyan was furious. I'll go. Hu Feng also gritted his teeth as he said angrily. This time, Dragon Clan did not send Long Zuying, who was at the peak of the rank 5 True Spirit, nor any other cultivators of the peak rank 4 True Spirit, but an ordinary cultivator of the rank 4 True Spirit. By doing so, the Dragon Clan obviously did not place the remaining Tiger Clan cultivators in his eyes. Hu Zhao intentionally or unintentionally looked at the nearby Hu Lai, as two pairs of eyes swept past Zhuo Zongyan and Hu Feng, and landed on Tang Huan's body in the end. Tang Huan, it's all up to you now, Hu Zhao sighed, and suddenly said, as a clan guardian commander. His understanding of Tang Huan far surpassed that of the other clan guardians. With regards to Tang Huan's strength, he was quite confident, and it was also because of this that he did not oppose Lord adding Tang Huan to the list of participants. Of course, this did not mean that Tang Huan could salvage Tiger Clan's loss, but at least when Tang Huan fought, it did not mean that Tiger Clan would lose so badly. What, you want Tang Huan to fight? Hearing Hu Zhao's words, other than the 3 Tiger Clan's rankers who seemed to have already known of the situation, the rest of the surrounding people were all stunned. This was especially so for Hu Feng and Zhuo Zonghai, who found it hard to believe their own ears. Hu Zhao had actually given up on them, 2 cultivators from the rank 4 True Spirit, and had instead chosen Tang Huan, who was at the peak rank 3 True Spirit cultivation level. What was the difference between this and admitting defeat? In the center of the arena, Ying Feikin's eyes flashed, while Long Xingqun and Qian Yu looked at each other in dismay. Lord, is your Tiger Clan planning to give up? Surprise flashed across Zhao Dongqing's face. Tiger Clan did not use a rank 4 True Spirit cultivator, but instead sent a rank 3 True Spirit cultivator to fight. This was completely illogical, but if Tiger Clan had already given up on the competition, then what they were doing could actually be explained. There's nothing we can do, the little guy from Dragon Clan is too powerful, we can only send him up. Hu Lai shook his head and sighed. Brother Hu, don't be too discouraged, the little guy from Tiger Clan is also not bad. Long Xingqun consoled, but there was already a smile on his face. Brother Long, you better not be fooled by the Lord Hu Lai. Just at that moment, Ying Feikin suddenly laughed coldly. The little fellow who came out to fight in Tiger Clan is not simple. On the day that the mine was discovered, a junior of our Eagle Clan was killed by him, leaving behind only a True Spirit to escape. Do you know what cultivation he was at that time? What cultivation level? Qian Yu asked curiously, and Zhao Dongqing and Long Xingqun were also greatly surprised. Rank 2 True Spirit, Ying Feikin said in a heavy voice. Oh? Long Xingqun raised his brows slightly, and then laughed involuntarily. To heavily injure a rank 4 True Spirit cultivator with the strength of a rank 2 True Spirit, his strength is truly astonishing. Brother Hu sure has hidden his strength well. Hu Lai snickered. Brother Long, you can't blame me for this. I've already said it before, Tang Huan, this little guy is our Tiger Clan's trump card. After hearing this, Long Xingqun, Ying Feikin and Qian Yu all felt depressed. Before the battle, Hu Lai had indeed said this to a cultivator of the Eagle Clan, but at that time, who would take his words seriously? Interesting. Zhao Dongqing squinted his eyes and laughed, his gaze looking towards the right of the stage. At this moment, Tang Huan had already passed the crowd and was walking towards the baby-faced man from Dragon Clan. Seeing this scene, the area was in an uproar. Rank 3 True Spirit. Tiger Clan actually sent that rank 3 True Spirit guy out this time. I thought that the fellow was just here to make up for the amount. To think that he would. For him to lose 4 times consecutively in this second round, could it be that Commander Hu Zhao's mind has also become muddled? Haha. I'm really going to die from laughter. Won't I be seeking death by sending such a rank 3 True Spirit guy out? What exactly is Tiger Clan thinking? If you just send 2 rank 4 True Spirit cultivators over, it would be better than letting this one go, right? Did that brat offend the Tiger Clan? Don't underestimate that guy called Tang Huan. Our Eagle Clan's Ying Yu, right now, only has True Spirit left. It's said that it was he who did it. Stop joking, how is this possible? Everyone was either surprised, suspicious, incredulous, or mocking and ridiculing. When all sorts of sounds entered his ears, Tang Huan did not move an inch. His steps was still neither fast nor slow. After about 10 breaths of time, under countless gazes, he stood in front of the young man. Tiger Clan, Tang Huan. Tang Huan cupped his hands. Dragon Clan, Long Yongxuan. The young man couldn't help but pout his lips, and sized Tang Huan up condescendingly. A sneer surfaced on his lips. There's really no one else in Tiger Clan to actually send a guy like you. Kid, how many moves do you think we should end this match? Hearing that, Tang Huan raised a finger. 1 move? Long Yongxuan laughed out loud, and looked at Tang Huan with ridicule in his eyes. You seem to know your own limits, knowing that you can only take one of my moves. Brat, don't worry. Seeing as you are being tactful, I will definitely show mercy and let you lie in bed for a few months less. You're wrong. The corner of Tang Huan's mouth raised slightly, when he suddenly spoke out slowly and slowly. What I mean is, to defeat you, I only need 1 move. What did you say? Long Yongxuan was stupefied. She could not believe her ears. How ignorant was this Tang Huan fellow to dare to say such words? After a short moment of staring blankly, Long Yongxuan finally recovered from his shock, but couldn't help but burst out laughing. Brat, you really have balls. Very well, you have successfully changed my mind. This time, I will make you lie in bed for a few more months, so that you can wake up properly. Chapter 783. Who else? Then hurry up, I can't wait any longer. Tang Huan smiled casually, and then said very kind-heartedly, I'll also remind you one more time, it's best if you take out that little golden bug of yours right now. If not, I'm afraid you won't even be able to take one of my attacks. As he spoke, Tang Huan reached out and grabbed, and the conqueror's spear tied to his back leapt out, landing in his palm. Since you're so anxious to get yourself into trouble, I'll grant your wish. Not to mention that the Dragon Clan Great Image had become what Tang Huan called small worms, but he was still looked down upon so much that Long Yongxuan nearly exploded his lungs with rage. At almost the same time, Long Yongxuan had already dashed forward like lightning. However, he did not immediately activate the Great Image as Tang Huan had warned him, but instead used his right hand to quickly swipe across his waist, causing a golden whip the size of a thumb to flash out. With shocking speed, he waved the whip horizontally, instantly forming a golden net that covered the sky and the earth around Tang Huan. An insignificant skill. Tang Huan laughed out loud. The conqueror's spear in his hand suddenly thrusted out. It looked like it was only using 1 spear strike, but in truth, in that short moment of time, Tang Huan had already used 49 spear strikes. In the blink of an eye, the area within a radius of several dozen meters around him seemed to have been shrouded by the incomparably powerful spear intent. Conqueror Breaching Army Spear Technique, Divine Power Beating. Kai. With a sharp piercing sound, a massive spear light roared out. The hidden boundless power and terrifying heat made the spear light seem like a moving volcano, ready to erupt at any moment with a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and earth. Slash. The sound suddenly burst out. Everyone felt as if their eardrums were being torn apart. In the next moment, a bright and dazzling red light flashed past like a meteor. In everyone's eyes, the golden net actually cracked quickly, and following that, the huge red light had already appeared in front of Long Yongxuan. How is this possible? Long Yongxuan was dumbstruck. That childish face immediately revealed an unconcealable shock and disbelief. The power of the spear light and the speed it came from far exceeded his expectations, especially the spear intent that filled the air. It made him feel as if his entire body was being locked down, as if no matter which direction he dodged in, he was unable to dodge Tang Huan's thunder-like spear attack, and could only take it head-on. How could a mere rank 3 true spirit cultivator display such terrifying power with his spear skills? Although he was extremely doubtful, at that critical moment, Long Yongxuan did not have the time to think anymore. He released a sky-shaking dragon's roar, and a dense golden aura surged out from his body, instantly condensing into many closely connected golden dragon scales that quickly spread on the surface of his body. In almost the same instant that the entire body was completely covered by the golden dragon scales, the fire-red spear radiance had already landed on top of its body. Bam! In the midst of the thunderous sound of the collision, the strength chi that contained a fierce heat crazily exploded. Long Yongsuan had only endured for a short while, when the layer of golden dragon scales on the surface of his body had completely shattered. In the next moment, he was no longer able to bear the terrifying impact and was sent flying backwards. Plop! Before he even had the chance to make a sound, Long Yongsuan was like a meteorite falling from the sky, heavily smashing into the ground tens of meters away, and there were no longer any movements. Silence. It was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. At that instant, all sound in the area disappeared without a trace. Almost everyone was dumbfounded like a wooden chicken. In the next moment, Long Yongsuan was heavily injured and fainted. When Tang Huan previously said that he could defeat Long Yongsuan in one move, countless people thought that he had lost his mind. Otherwise, how could he say such arrogant words without even knowing what he was doing? At that moment, there were countless people who mocked and ridiculed Tang Huan. Even the surrounding Tiger Clan cultivators did not think that Tang Huan would be able to win. But now, Long Yongsuan had actually lost. Tang Huan had only used one move. A dignified cultivator of the rank 4 True Spirit was actually defeated by Tang Huan of the rank 3 True Spirit in one move. This result was simply too inconceivable. Alright. After a while, Hu Zhao came back to reality and could not help but clap his hands as he shouted loudly. An extremely rare smile appeared on his cold face. He actually won? Hu Feng and Zhuo Zhong'an woke up from their stupor and subconsciously looked at each other. They could see an unconcealable astonishment in each other's eyes. Even with their rank 4 True Spirits cultivation, against Long Yongsuan, who was also at the same level, they would definitely lose many times over. But Tang Huan, on the other hand, had actually defeated Long Yongsuan in one shot, and won the first round of the competition cleanly for Tiger Clan. Was Tang Huan terrifyingly strong, or was Long Yongsuan just a medium-strength silver-like spearhead? Brother Hu, this kid from your Tiger Clan is really a trump card. In the center of the stage, Long Xingquan rubbed his forehead with a bitter smile. I was lucky. It's hard to say who will win the next match, Hu Lai said very modestly. Even though he said that, his eyebrows were still twitching from his happiness. Fortunately, I did not fight the Tiger Clan to death in the first round. Qian Yu squinted as she sized up the distant Tang Huan, thoughts spinning rapidly in her mind. Although Long Yongsuan had not activated the Great Image, the fact that Tang Huan was able to defeat him in one strike showed how strong he was. According to her judgment, this fellow had the strength to fight against the rank 5 True Spirit cultivators. With such a powerful figure in the Tiger Clan, in the first round, even if they were to be sent out to fight, the chances of that happening would still be slim. Tang Huan, Ying Feikin's heart slowly formed these 2 runes. His face was gloomy, and within his eyes, a fierce light surged. This kid, Zhao Dongqing squinted his eyes. After a short moment of surprise, his young face revealed undisguised approval. The result of this battle, not only was Long Xingquan and the rest amazed, the surrounding cultivators were also extremely surprised. All kinds of noisy sounds rose one after another, incessantly ringing in the ears. I'm not hallucinating, right? It's actually Tiger Clan's Tang Huan who won. Then what is Long Yongsuan doing? To lose to Tang Huan in just one move, that is truly embarrassing for their Dragon Clan. Impossible. Then is Tang Huan really a peak rank 3 True Spirit cultivator? When everyone was discussing amongst themselves, Tang Huan had already walked forward slowly, looking at Long Yongsuan who was being lifted up. He seemed to be talking to himself, but also seemed to be muttering to the unconscious Long Yongsuan, if you don't listen to anyone's advice, the losses are right in front of you. This time, it looks like you will have to stay in bed for a few months. The corner of his mouth raised into a slight smile, and in a moment, Tang Huan's expression and aura changed greatly, his gaze becoming as sharp as a blade sweeping across Snake Clan. Who else? Chapter 784, Long Zuying. Close to 100 meters away, when they felt Tang Huan's contemptuous gaze, The young cultivators of Dragon Clan were filled with rage, and the few experts of Dragon Clan were unable to contain their anger. Tang Huan, with a soft mumble, a figure who had been sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed all this time suddenly opened his eyes and slowly stood up. It was a young woman with a tall and slim figure. She wore snow-white clothes and had a picturesque appearance. Her elegant and peerless face was filled with an unapproachable iciness. She was Long Zuying. The strongest among the 10 young cultivators from the Dragon Clan was already at the peak rank 5 true spirit at the age of 23. Commander. After a while, Long Zuying retracted his gaze, and in a blink of an eye, he looked at a tall elderly man who was a few meters away. He was Dragon Clan's Dragon Guard Commander Long Taishan. Don't worry. Long Taishan shook his head, then snorted coldly. Killing a chicken requires a cow blade. A mere peak rank 3 true spirit does not require you to do anything. Long Zhu, you go. He then warned. This person's strength is not inferior to the peak rank 4 true spirit. We cannot be careless. Yes, sir. A young man who was eager to give it a try rushed out like a whirlwind. In a short moment, he was less than 20 meters away from Tang Huan. Dragon Clan, Long Zhu. With a roar, a golden dragon appeared above Long Zhu's head, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Although he was extremely furious, but from Long Yongxuan's previous experiences, he no longer held Tang Huan in contempt. Thus, the moment he came, he activated the Golden Dragon Great Image. I've finally learned to be smart. Seeing that, Tang Huan smiled. He took a few steps forward leisurely. The Conqueror's spear in his hand suddenly danced, a blazing energy that seemed to be able to topple mountains and overturn the seas emitted from the spear. In an instant, it formed into a fire-red huge dragon, roaring and roaring towards the front. Conqueror Breaching Army Spear Technique, Soaring Dragon Break. The power of this spear art that Tang Huan had displayed was countless times stronger than when he was in the small world with his foggy sea island. The body of the fire dragon that was condensed from all of his energy while waving his long spear was actually not the least bit weaker than the Golden Dragon Great Image that Long Zhu had activated. Wherever the long dragon passed by, the heat waves would churn and the surrounding air would emit crackling sounds. Long Zhu's expression slightly changed. The fire dragon had yet to arrive, but the heat wave had already arrived from the other side. The terrifying heat wave made him feel like he was suffocating. Without any hesitation, Long Zhu retreated, but the gigantic golden dragon in the sky pounced forward, its speed as fast as lightning. In a split second, the two huge dragons collided. Amidst the earth-shaking sounds, the fire-red huge dragon madly exploded. First it was the dragon's head, and then it continuously spread towards the dragon's body. A fiery red storm appeared instantly. In the blink of an eye, the entire fire-red huge dragon had disappeared, and the windstorm it had transformed into had expanded by more than 10 times, pressing forward like raging waves. In the blink of an eye, half of the golden dragon's body was wrapped up. Long Zhu's expression instantly became incomparably unsightly, and the 10 fingers on his hands crazily danced like butterflies piercing through flowers. The mind instructs, in a second, of the 4 great clans S could be controlled, but if one wanted to display the greatest amount of power, one had to constantly form seals with their hands. Of course, if it was after the body and great image integration, the people outside would not be able to see the seal's movement. It was just like when Hu Zhuan and Lian Yu were fighting. A small golden dragon image broke through the air and entered the golden dragon's body. High up in the sky, the golden dragon raised its head and roared. Its long body struggled violently as the vigorous strength chi surged out of its body like a wave. The fiery red storm enveloping its entire body finally dissipated, but the front half of the golden dragon's body had already shrunk by several times. Long Zhu secretly heaved a sigh of relief, but his forehead was already drenched in sweat. Although he had an estimate of Tang Huan's strength, after the battle, he suddenly realized that Tang Huan's strength had already far surpassed his expectations. Before the fight, not only must he activate the Great Image, he must also use it. High up in the sky, the dragon's roar resounded throughout the world. and the upper half of the golden dragon's body started to quickly recover. Long Zhu also rose into the air at almost the same time, wanting to merge into the Great Image. But just as his body was about to merge with the Great Image, he couldn't help but go pale in shock. In his line of sight, two Tang Huan appeared. One of them was just 10 meters away, while the other appeared right in front of him like a ghost without any warning. The spear in his hand seemingly transformed into a fiery red stream of light and smashed down from the sky with the force of a thunderbolt. A violent and overbearing spear intent filled the air, completely sealing off the area around Long Zhu. Seeing that the fire-red long spear was falling at a terrifying speed, Long Zhu felt as if a huge, towering mountain was collapsing. In the midst of the mind instructs, in a second, Long Zhu retreated frantically, while the golden dragon that had just recovered its form clashed into the spear. Bam! After the loud noise that sounded like it had been split open by a golden stone, the golden dragon's great image exploded with a loud bang, and a visible, intense fluctuation appeared in the space of a few tens of meters in front of Tang Huan. The terrifying strength chi spread wildly throughout the area, and the soil below was actually lifted up layer by layer, as the sky turned upside down. With the help of the Great Image, Long Zhu successfully dodged the attack range of the pike PFFT. But the moment the Great Image dissipated, it was as if his entire body was struck by a huge rock. His body suddenly froze, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. To the cultivators of 4 great clans, the Great Image was inextricably linked to the mind, causing both of them to suffer damage. Just like this, the golden dragon Great Image was smashed apart by Tang Huan's spear, causing Long Zhu to immediately receive heavy injuries. Whoosh! Tang Huan floated onto the ground, but his footsteps did not stop. Like a horse that had just broken free of its reins, he charged towards Long Zhu. Seeing Tang Huan coming towards him, Long Zhu, who had just regained his senses, was terrified. He tried to retreat, but his retreating speed could not keep up with Tang Huan's speed. The long spear in his hand was like a dragon, the sharp point pointed straight at Long Zhu's chest. In this instant, the terrifying spear intent once again enveloped the vast region, including Long Zhu. "We admit defeat in this battle. Show mercy." An urgent shout suddenly exploded out. Tang Huan's figure suddenly stopped, his spear suspended in midair. The fiery red spear tip was now less than an inch away from Long Zhu's chest. Its sharpness had pierced through the clothes on his chest, while Long Zhu, who was being pointed by the spear tip, had his hands and feet stiffened, his body tensed up, his 2 round eyes stared straight at Tang Huan, despair filling his eyes. "He's smarter than the previous one, but not smart enough." Tang Huan pulled back his spear and smiled mockingly. If this fellow was truly smart, he would have used the body and Great Image integration from the start when he saw Long Yunxuan's ending, instead of doing it after taking a lesson. In the end, he didn't even have the chance to use the body and Great Image integration. Chapter 785, Mysterious Ice Jade Dragon. Seeing that the fiery red spear tip was far away from his chest, Long Zhu felt as if he had retracted his foot that had stepped into the coffin. His tensed body involuntarily relaxed, as if he had suddenly obtained a large amount of fresh air. At this moment, Long Zhu's entire body was seemingly drenched in cold sweat. It made him look miserable, but he didn't care. His heart was filled with the ecstasy of surviving a disaster. At that moment, he really did smell death. Next, Tang Huan did not care about him anymore, and the group of Dragon Clan cultivators looked over once again. The instant these 3 simple words came out from his mouth, an incomparably tyrannical aura surged out in all directions like a monstrous wave. A terrifying spear intent surged into the sky, instantly condensing into a fiery red spear image that soared high into the sky, causing the hearts of countless people to tremble. Seeing Tang Huan, who was currently as cold as a war god, Eagle Clan and Snake Clan cultivators were extremely surprised, but the Tiger Clan cultivators were extremely excited, their cheers resonating through the sky. He originally thought that Hu Zhao had given up on the second round of the competition, and would only be sent to fight in the end, but he didn't expect that Tang Huan would actually bring such a huge surprise to everyone. Although no one felt that Tiger Clan would be able to win until the end, but with Tang Huan's 2 victories, at the very least, it would not look bad for her. If this was the rank 4 true spirit Hu Feng or Zhuo Zhongyan, they would have already been defeated. In comparison to the excitement of the people of Tiger Clan, the cultivators of Dragon Clan were all extremely shocked. When Tang Huan, the first person to fight on the rank 3 true spirit, from top to bottom, did not hold him in any regard, so the amount of people who wantonly ridiculed him was not few in number. However, Tang Huan's following performance made all of their faces burning. It could be said that Long Yongxuan's defeat was due to him being careless and underestimating his opponent, but now, he had even lost to the even stronger Long Zhu, and the entire process was in a state of being crushed. Although that fellow's cultivation was low, he was actually so strong. Could it be that he really had to send out the strongest out of the 10 Long Zhuing to battle, in order to win? One was at the peak of the rank 5 true spirit, the other was the peak rank 3 true spirit. Even if Long Zhuing won in the end, in this competition, the young cultivator who performed the most, would definitely be the Tiger Clan. Snow Cherry, you go. About 100 meters away from Tang Huan, Long Taishan's expression was gloomy and indecisive. After hesitating for a moment, he finally shouted out. There were still many peak rank 4 true spirit cultivators in the Dragon Clan that had yet to fight, so at this time, he could indeed send another person to exhaust Tang Huan's strength. Even after Long Yongxuan and his opponent were easily defeated, they still did this. Instead, it was more of a joke, and it would be better to just let Long Zhuing go up on stage and fight him. With Long Zhuing's strength, there was no difference between a little more and a little less. After all, he had suffered a crushing defeat. Yes, sir. Long Zhuing's white clothes were like snow, her delicate body was graceful. With just a slight nod, she had already moved forward, neither too fast nor too slow, her movements like flowing clouds and flowing water, as though she was a fairy that had descended into the mortal world. There was not even the slightest bit of smoke or fire from her body, and she immediately became the focus of attention for everyone around. However, her speed was not slow at all. With every step she took, a distance of over 10 meters would be covered by her feet. In the blink of an eye, she was already not far from Tang Huan. Dragon Clan, Long Zhuing. Long Zhuing suddenly said with a calm expression and ice-cold eyes. She looked as beautiful as an immortal. Long Zhuing, you're finally out. Tang Huan caressed the spear in his hand and laughed slowly. Everyone says that you are the #1 expert out of the 10 people in Dragon Clan. It is now a good opportunity to see whether you, the #1 expert, live up to your name or not. You'll get your wish soon enough. Long Zhuing's expression was still the same as before, and his eyes did not have the slightest of movements. Eng. Almost at the same time his voice fell, a resounding dragon roar resounded. Immediately afterwards, a snow-white dragon image rose from Long Zhuing's body, and swirled above his head. A breathtakingly cold aura engulfed heaven and earth, and in that moment, it was as if a violent and sinister cold storm, with his body as the center, howled towards its surroundings. A layer of thin ice formed on the sand just as he was about to be stirred up, and then it was shattered into fine powder, as it scattered and danced in the air, forming an extremely strange scene. On the ground, a layer of white ice also spread out from where his feet stood. In the blink of an eye, the entire area turned into a world of ice and snow. The biting cold filled the surrounding space, causing one's heart to tremble. It's actually the profound ice jade dragon great image. An alarmed cry suddenly sounded out at the center of the arena. At this time, the battle between the Snake Clan and the Eagle Clan had already ended. Whether it was Zhao Dongqing, the southern chief of the Yan state, or the 4 Lordes Long Xingquan, Huolai, Ying Feikan, all of their attention were focused on the final battle between the Dragon Clan and the Tiger Clan. A mysterious ice jade dragon is extremely rare. In the history of the Dragon Clan, it probably hasn't appeared many times, right? Brother Long, the future of this little girl from your Dragon Clan is limitless. This time, the little fellow over at Big Brother Hu, Tiger, is going to be in for it. That Tang Huan also has a bright future. This old man has never seen a cultivator with peak rank 3 true spirit with such power. While Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan, and the others were talking, the ice crystal had already quickly spread to the bottom of Tang Huan's feet. Alright, a bone-piercing chilliness swept over. This entire space seemed to have turned into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. Tang Huan could not help but narrow his eyes, but the battle intent in his chest was boiling. Amidst the shout, the conqueror's spear in his hand released an extremely intense buzzing sound. It was actually like a thunderclap, causing the ears of all the cultivators in the area to ring. Long Zuying's strength could not compare to the rank 6 true spirit from before, but it was not far off. However, the current Tang Huan was no longer the ignorant him from before. Even if he were to meet that Luo Hao, he would dare to fight him, let alone Long Zuying. An incomparably burning heat surged out of the spear like a torrent. In just a split second, the cold that surrounded him had completely vanished. In the next moment, Tang Huan leaped up, and smashed down with the conqueror's spear in his hands from above. As soon as the spear moved, the fiery red spear image in the air disappeared completely. At this moment, all of the spear intent that had been scattered throughout the world seemed to be completely concentrated within the long spear. The already resplendent conqueror spear immediately emitted billions of rays of red light. Tang Huan brandished the long spear in his hand as an unspeakable domineering aura filled the heaven and earth. Conqueror Breaching Army Spear Technique, Overlord Tactic. Chapter 786, A Weapon Refiner. Long Zuying's slender and white fingers danced quickly as a small white dragon seal rose from the tip of her fingers, fusing into the dragon's body above. In the next moment, the snowy white dragon opened its bloody maw, and a blizzard of ice and snow quickly condensed in the air. In that moment, a thick ice spear appeared. It pierced through the air and struck the fire-red long spear's spearhead at high speed. The two powers of heat and cold clashed violently, and a visible ripple spread out in all directions. It was so intense that even the air seemed to be unable to withstand it, violently distorting and fluctuating. In the blink of an eye, the ice shattered. As if he had suffered a heavy blow, his body flew outwards and a layer of snow-white ice quickly spread out along with the spear-like flowing water. In less than a breath of time, it had already covered Tang Huan, who was still in the air, with the spear, like an ice sculpture. Seeing this scene, all the cultivators of the Tiger clan that were gathered, gasped for breath and voices sounded out one after another. Was the disparity between the peak rank 5 true spirit and the peak rank 3 true spirit really that great? Even with Tang Huan's strength that far exceeded his cultivation level, he still could not withstand a single strike from Long Zuying? Haha, so it's like that. Let's see how this Tang Huan brat can still act so arrogantly. Profound Ice Jade Dragon Great Image is a rare sight even in our dragon clan. Not to mention someone with only the cultivation of the peak rank 3 true spirit. Even if he was a rank 5 true spirit, he would still not be a match for little sister Zhu Ying. Little sister Zhu Ying is really amazing, defeating that guy in one move. The surrounding Dragon Clan cultivators who were spectating the battle were all excitedly shouting. Long Taishan, who was on the right side of the circle of battle, also couldn't help but nod his head. And the few people beside him were all smiles, especially Long Zhu. Looks like the second round is about to end. At the center of the arena, Ying Feiken could not help but chuckle. Two pairs of eyes looked towards Hulai, but what made him disappointed was that Hulai still had a thick smile on his face, and was not worried about Tang Huan's current situation at all. The battle is not over yet. No one knows who will win until the last moment. Long Xingquan stroked his beard and laughed, obviously extremely satisfied. Brother Long is right. The battle isn't over yet, Hulai said with a smile. His face did not change at all, but he was secretly worried. He had not used Tang Huan's little brother's most powerful ability. If he lost just like that, it would be too depressing. Regarding Hulai's words, be it Ying Feiken or Long Xingquan, neither of them paid much attention to it. In their eyes, Hulai was just being stubborn. The battle is indeed not over yet. Just then, Zhao Dongqing suddenly laughed. Everyone, quick, Look!" At almost the same time, Qian Yu also exclaimed out loud, and around the arena, the cries of shock rose and fell, as pairs of eyes stared straight at Tang Huan. The moment it almost floated to the ground, the layer of ice crystal covering Tang Huan's body seemed to have been roasted by a raging fire, and in an instant, it melted completely, and at the top of Tang Huan's spear, a large ball of captivating red flames was burning brilliantly, emitting boundless heat. Weapon refiner? In the center of the arena, Zhao Dongjing could not help but exclaim softly. That pair of profound eyes instantly shone with a breathtaking light, while Long Xingquan, Hu Lai, Ying Feiqian and the four great clans were all completely stunned. This turn of events greatly exceeded their expectations. An average person would think that Tang Huan had used some kind of unique fire attribute cultivation technique, but a strong warrior like them could determine that Tang Huan was not using a cultivation technique, but using the true fire, which was unique to the weapon refiner. Big brother Hu, Tiger, I really did not expect that you would actually hide a weapon refiner there. Long Xingquan could not help but sigh. His eyes were filled with envy. In all these years, the number of weapon refinerettes that have appeared in our Firing Dragon Mountain ranges have been pitifully few. Look at the flames he's using. I'm guessing his refining level isn't low at all. Qian Yu was also extremely envious. Ying Feiqian was expressionless and did not say a word, but the strong jealousy and hatred in his eyes had already betrayed the true thoughts at the bottom of his heart. This brat is quite amazing. I already told him not to expose himself, but he still wasn't able to hold it in. This young man has an impatient personality. He can't hide anything. Hu Lai rubbed his palms together, with a reserved look on his face, but the pride between his brows could not be suppressed. Damn, that kid is actually a weapon refiner. It's really too surprising. Weapon refiner? Impossible. Haha, that's great. The first weapon refiner to be born in 100 years actually came from our Tiger clan. So what if you're a weapon refiner? Do you think that you can rely on the power of the true fire to resist Sister Zhu Ying's profound ice jade dragon great image? There were quite a few people around the arena who noticed the clues, causing waves of shocked exclamations. Weapon refiner? Feeling the warmth that came sweeping over from the opposite side, Long Zhuiying's eyes slightly narrowed, and a strange expression finally surfaced within her calm and composed beautiful eyes. However, in the blink of an eye, the astonishment in her eyes had been replaced by an ice-cold look. Her slender fingers danced again as a tiny white dragon condensed at the tip of her fingers. In less than half a blink of an eye, the white dragon imprint had already fused with the jade dragon in the sky. Amidst the earth-shattering roars, a torrent of countless ice spears shot out from the jade dragon's gaping maw, rushing forward in a formidable array. A piercing howl tore through the air, and a bone-piercing chill spread out as the icicles flowed past. The air froze, as if it could completely freeze all the obstacles in front of it. The area within a radius of dozens of meters around it seemed to have turned into an eye-piercing silver color. Seeing this scene, the noisy edges of the arena instantly went silent. Even though they were several hundred meters away, everyone could clearly feel the chilliness that entered into their very bones, even into their souls. Those with weaker cultivations were already unable to endure it and all quickly retreated backwards. At this moment, many people looked at Tang Huan with eyes filled with pity. Against Long Zhuiying's terrifying great image attack, even the most powerful of rank 3 true spirit cultivators would not be able to withstand it, even the extremely powerful weapon refiner. Whoosh! However, what caused everyone to be even more surprised was that not only did Tang Huan, who bore the brunt of the impact, choose to retreat, he became like a streak of light and shot forward like a bolt of lightning. In an instant, within Tang Huan's Danshan, the 9 Yang Divine Furnace and the 5 Colors True Spirit had already been swiftly revolving. Other than the sharp spiritual fire, the Bodhisattva fire, and the Nirvana Sacred Fire were activated to the extreme in an instant. Chapter 787 disappeared. The flames on the spear instantly swelled and the flame tip danced violently. An increasingly strong heat surged out from the spear, and compared to before, It was actually several times stronger. It continued to condense into a misty red substance, like a cloud that rolled in all directions. Wherever the hot mist passed by, the coldness that was whistling through the air faded away. The sand on the ground crumbled into dust, as if it couldn't withstand the heat. Kai. In the next moment, the conqueror's spear in Tang Huan's hands pierced forward, the flames revolving around the long spear rapidly. In an instant, it transformed into a terrifying flaming pointed awl, and with an astonishing speed, it spiraled out of the spear. The surrounding fiery red clouds that were just dispersed outwards were all immediately absorbed, turning into an extremely blazing storm that followed the flaming pointed awl and whizzed forward. The sharp hissing sound seemed to want to bore a hole through the blue dome of heaven, while the flaming pointed awl was like a rainbow, piercing through the void one after another. True flaming rainbow. With Tang Huan's current cultivation level, after activating the three great spiritual fires and using the last form of the flaming rainbow spear art, its power was completely different from before. Furthermore, when he was training his battle skills a few days ago, Tang Huan had made some extremely minute adjustments to the spear technique, making it faster and its penetrating power even stronger. If he had used such a technique when fighting with Long Zhu, that Dragon Clan cultivator probably wouldn't even be able to take a single blow from Tang Huan. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the flaming pointed awl, accompanied by a terrifying scorching storm, drilled its way into the vast flood of ice shards. The huge ringing sounds lingered on as the violent impacts continuously shattered the ice spears into innumerable pieces, which were then melted away by the fiery red storm. Under the cold and sharp collisions, the flaming pointed awl also burst out into innumerable specks of dazzling red light. An incomparably magnificent scene appeared in front of everyone's eyes on this messy ground. Even the strong ones such as Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan, Hu Lai, Yang Feiqin and Qian Yu couldn't help but be moved. Long Zhuiying's attack was extremely powerful, but Tang Huan's counterattack was not one bit inferior to hers. Under numerous gazes, the flaming pointed awl shot straight into the current of ice spears with unstoppable force. However, those densely packed ice spears were also constantly wearing away the flaming pointed awl. First, the scorching storm that was being carried over quietly dissipated, and then the flaming pointed awl began to shrink at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. The two powers of heat and cold interweaved crazily, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. In only a few breaths of time, the flaming pointed awl and the icy pronged torrent almost vanished into thin air at the same time, but the strength chi that was produced by the two of them clashing violently still circulated rapidly and wreaked havoc everywhere. Within a radius of 100 meters, the space was a complete mess. Humphrey. Long Zhuiying snorted, a cold glint flashing past his eyes. In the blink of an eye, her body had already risen into the air and merged with the snow-white jade dragon. Immediately, the snow-white jade dragon raised its head and let out a hiss. Its originally extremely thick body immediately swelled to nearly double its original size. A layer of ice crystals swiftly spread on the surface of its white jade body. After the flick of a finger, the snow-white jade dragon seemed to transform into a huge ice dragon. Its entire body was exuding a dazzling, white luster, clear and beautiful. An even more intense ice-cold aura surged out from its body, spreading to the surroundings. All of a sudden, the area became freezing cold once more, and the ice crystals that had been melted by the scorching heat covered the ground once more. Body and great image integration. A smile surfaced on Tang Huan's face as the ice crystals around him churned. Within a radius of tens of meters, not a single one of them could invade his body. High up in the sky, the ice dragon roared, and with a swing of its enormous tail, a near-piercing sonic boom resounded through the world. In the next moment, the ice dragon's long and sturdy body swooped down, and a huge sharp claw directly smashed towards Tang Huan. Tang Huan's smile faded, and the flames on the head of the conqueror's spear in his hand immediately vanished. His footsteps then followed a mysterious rhythm as he walked forward, but at the same time, a strange change appeared in both his eyes. A black and a white vortex appeared within them, and quickly expanded. Visional Phoenix 5 footwork, space moving, yin and yang void method, heavenly invisibility. Tang Huan actually used all three methods at the same time. A phantom image held a spear in hand and leaped forward as he thrust forward, but at the same time that his true body shifted, it had completely fused into the void. The entire process did not reveal even the slightest trace of abnormality. In the blink of an eye, the gigantic claw of the ice dragon had shattered Tang Huan's illusion and pressed him to the ground with lightning speed. Countless grains of dust had just risen from the ground, but they had already turned into ice crystals. Dead? Everyone around the arena was dumbstruck. Tang Huan, who had been acting extremely vigorous just a moment ago, was actually killed by Long Zuying's claw just like that. Disappeared? The ice dragon's pair of beautiful eyes couldn't help but flash with doubt and astonishment. Just now, Tang Huan wasn't smashed into pieces, but was blown away by the wind created by the claws, which meant that the real Tang Huan had disappeared a moment ago. In the center of the stage, Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan and the rest were also feeling suspicious. Tang Huan had left an extremely realistic afterimage. His real body had disappeared without a trace. Even with their eyesight, they were unable to determine where Tang Huan was hiding. As expected of the yin and yang void method, however, Hu Lai's face was currently filled with smiles, and even his brows were slightly twitching. Seeing him like that, the surrounding people became even more surprised. They never thought that Tang Huan would actually have such a strange method. No wonder Hu Lai used him, who was only at the peak rank 3 true spirit realm, as a trump card. Now that the four clans competition had progressed to this stage, Long Xingquan actually had a bad premonition. For the first time, Dragon Clan might lose the second round. At this time, Tang Huan, who had disappeared from everyone's sight, was frantically running on the ice crystal floor. Two pairs of eyes were tightly staring at the ice dragon, constantly calculating its trajectory. After a moment, Tang Huan suddenly leaped up with all his might. When Tang Huan reached a height of more than 20 meters, the ice dragon just happened to fly horizontally and Peng Shao's dragon head appeared in front of Tang Huan. Without any hesitation, Tang Huan activated all of the power in his body. The Conqueror spear in his hand struck down towards the dragon head with lightning speed. Conqueror breaching army spear technique. Overlord tactic. Yet again, it was this simple battle skill, but with the support of the incomparably majestic genuine Qi and the spiritual fire's heat, coupled with Tang Huan's sun spirit body, which had an extremely tyrannical flesh body, the power it released was incomparable. Waving its long spear, it was like the collapse of a pillar in the sky, causing one's soul to tremble. Chapter 788. I've lost. Over there. He's over there. Tang Huan. He actually didn't die. Danger. Little sister Zhu Ying, be careful. The moment the spear moved, Tang Huan's figure appeared, and for a moment, countless people around the area cried out in alarm. All of the cultivators who thought that Tang Huan had killed them were simply unable to believe their eyes, while the Dragon Clan cultivators' expressions changed grayly, and all of them broke out in cold sweat from shock. No one could have thought that Tang Huan would suddenly appear at that location. However, at such a moment, no matter how they tried to warn him, it was useless. Tang Huan had chosen the perfect timing to make a move, leaving Long Zuying with no time to retaliate, much less dodge. As a result, when they saw this scene, the expressions of Long Xingquan and the rest changed. The long spear rumbled as it fell. The skies changed. It was unstoppable. The ice dragon clearly felt a huge crisis as well, and at that time, it did not try to dodge or retaliate in vain. Instead, it fiercely rushed forward, and a bone-chilling white-colored odor surged out like a flood, condensing a thick layer of ice crystal on its neck. Its actions were extremely effective. It had dangerously avoided the crucial point on its head. After a moment, the Conqueror's spear in Tang Huan's hands landed on his neck. Bam! A loud noise that seemed to be able to break eardrums sounded out. The thick layer of ice around the colossal dragon's neck exploded into nothingness, and its massive body fell heavily to the ground. The entire body of the dragon sank into the earth, and like a tide, the earth rose up to its two sides, creating a ravine that was tens of meters wide and tens of meters long. Eng! With a hiss of pain, the ice dragon tumbled to the ground, its long tail crazily lashing towards Tang Huan's location. Huh? Tang Huan gasped in surprise. When he was training in the rank 2 True Spirit, he used Yin and Yang Void method, heavenly invisibility, to sneak attack Yingyu. After the first shot, Yingyu was left with only True Spirit. With her current cultivation level, after launching her sneak attack on Long Zuying, who was at the peak of the rank 5 True Spirit, one strike later, she still had the strength to counterattack. As expected of the number 1 expert among the 10 people in Dragon Clan, Tang Huan immediately activated Visional Phoenix 5 footwork and Yin and Yang Void method once again, leaving a ray of shadow in the air. However, his real body once again fused with the air, sinking to the ground. He rushed far away, and in an instant, he was far away from the ice dragon. Ho! As the dragon tail swept across the sky, Tang Huan's silhouette disappeared the moment it came into contact with his. Eng! The ice dragon rose into the sky once again, its body already much fainter than before, but in less than a breath's time, it became solid once again. However, its size had already shrunk by a size, and Long Zuying's voice, full of anger, surged out from its belly. Tang Huan, come out right now. As you wish. Almost at the same time Long Zuying finished speaking, a chuckle came from below the dragon's belly. But following this voice came a fire-red long spear that was surrounded by raging flames. When that terrifying sharpness and blazing heat was forced out, the tip of the spear was already less than a foot away from the dragon's abdomen. This was also a distance that was difficult to dodge and impossible to counterattack. In the face of Tang Huan's attack after using the ability Yin and Yang Void method, heavenly invisibility, no matter how much of a vigilance Long Zuying had, it was useless. This was because Tang Huan could silently approach her great image from any direction and launch an attack with his fastest speed. Eng! The ice dragon was shocked and angry at the same time, allowing the spear to pierce its own body, but the dragon turned its head, and a storm of ice and snow accompanied the dragon's roar as it roared out. It swept towards its abdomen from all directions, wanting to injure Tang Huan on both sides. The corner of Tang Huan's mouth raised slightly as he sneered in his heart. Almost at the same time the dragon cry came out, the Conqueror's spear had already pierced through the dragon's abdomen, and the Nirvana sacred fire on the spear tip quickly spread through the body of the dragon. The ice crystal continued to melt, and as if the ice dragon felt immense pain, its body started to twist violently in the air, no longer caring about attacking Tang Huan. Immediately after, Tang Huan's spear swept, and the ice storm that was roaring towards him lost its support from the huge dragon, becoming rooted to the ground, and could no longer form any form of threat, and disappeared cleanly in an instant. And Tang Huan, who had landed on the ground right after, did not slow down at all. He once again rose into the air, charging towards the ice dragon that was churning in the sky. Eng! The ice dragon roared, and layers of ice crystals rained down from the surroundings, attempting to extinguish the flames. It was a pity that the flames were still there, like a gangrene attached to the bones. When the ice crystals came over, the flames stopped expanding. However, once the ice crystals were melted, the flames quickly spread again. Within the time of 2 to 3 breaths, the flames had covered an area of several meters where the dragon's body had been cut off. After tossing and turning, the ice dragon finally chose to give up. Its huge body began to fluctuate rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the dragon's body had been split in half. The back half of the dragon's body was soon covered in flames and completely burned away. The front half of the dragon's body continued to stretch, and in the blink of an eye, another complete dragon body was revealed. Ho! But just at this moment, Tang Huan's Conqueror's spear swept forward again. Wherever the spear passed by, it was as if a vast ocean of energy surged forward. Even if a towering giant mountain stood in front of them, it would still be washed clean by the majestic, nearly unstoppable torrent. In a split second, the spear landed on the ice dragon's abdomen. With a loud clanging sound, the ice dragon's body actually curved in an arc from the impact, flying backwards as if riding on a cloud. and after a moment, heavily crashing down dozens of meters away. Dust filled the air, and the dragon's body instantly dissipated into nothingness, revealing a white figure. It was Long Xueying. With a stuffy groan, Long Xueying staggered to his feet. His already fair face was now as white as paper, and at the corner of his lips, there was a trace of blood. "I've lost." Long Xueying's beautiful face twitched, but her eyes quickly recovered its initial unperturbed look. After calmly spitting out the 3 words, she walked towards Long Taishan, but when she turned around, she looked deeply into Tang Huan's eyes, as if she wanted to imprint that face into her soul. "Brother Hu, the fusion of your tiger clan is definitely not an ordinary true fire." Long Xingquan let out a long sigh and couldn't help but smile bitterly. "Ha ha," Hu Lai laughed, with a faint flash of surprise in his eyes. By the side, Zhao Dongqing's eyes had a touch of amazement, while Qian Yu was sighing endlessly. On the other hand, Yang Feikin's face turned gloomy and cold. The strongest person in Dragon Clan was actually defeated by the weakest person in Tiger Clan. Next, Tang Huan laughed indifferently, and his gaze turned to look at Dragon Clan. Long Taishan, the commander of the Dragon Guards, had an unsettled expression on his face. Although Tang Huan was fighting against Long Yongxuan, Long Zhu, and Long Xueying in succession, he didn't look exhausted at all. Even if the last remaining peak rank 4 true spirit cultivator were to come out, he would still not be a match for Tang Huan. Long Xueying's defeat meant that the round of the competition was already over. "There's no need to compete anymore. We admit defeat." Not long later, Long Taishan's low voice resounded in everyone's ears. Chapter 789, Recurrence of Ripples. Many of the Dragon Clan cultivators fell into silence, their faces bitter. Although Dragon Clan still had one more spot to fight, even the strongest Long Xueying had suffered a crushing defeat. Not to mention the cultivators of the peak rank 4 true spirit, even the experts of the rank 7 true spirit might not be able to escape unscathed from Tang Huan's sudden sneak attack. Am I hearing things? Tang Huan won? Haha. Long Xueying lost. To think that it's actually Long Xueying who lost. Tiger Clan's number 1. Everyone in the Tiger Clan who were stunned by the sight of Long Xueying's defeat finally woke up from their shock, as excited shouts rose one after another and resounded through the sky. The surrounding Eagle Clan S and Snake Clan cultivators S who were watching the battle came back to their senses. Looking at the excited Tiger Clan people, their expressions were extremely complicated. "I really didn't expect that even Long Xueying was defeated by Tang Huan of the rank 3 true spirit. What method did he use just now? How could he suddenly disappear so completely without leaving a single trace? Dragon Clan was so strong, but he actually fell into your hands in the end." No, Dragon Clan did not fall at Tiger Clan's hands, but at Tang Huan's. "This guy is only at the rank 3 true spirit, but his strength is already so terrifying. If he were to break through to the rank 7 true spirit realm, wouldn't he be invincible within the true spirit level? Maybe when it comes to rank 6 true spirit, no one in the true spirit level cultivators will be its match." Under countless shocked gazes, Tang Huan slowly walked towards Hu Zhao and the others, but he secretly heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. The endurance of Long Xueying's great image far exceeded his expectations, to the point where he had to continuously use the sacred dart yin and yang void method twice in order to defeat it. With Tang Huan's current cultivation, he would be able to hold on for more than half an hour after using the sacred dart to merge with the void. However, if he were to conceal himself and launch an attack on the enemy, then use his sacred dart to conceal himself again, this would require him to consume even more energy. Tang Huan could at most cast it 3 times in a row. After 3 tries, Tang Huan's strength would be depleted. This meant that if he failed to defeat Long Xueying with his second attack, he would fall into a bitter battle. Even if he won in the end, his situation would not be very good. Of course, Tang Huan could use his ability for the 3rd time to launch an attack. But that way, even if he succeeded in defeating Long Xueying, as long as the Dragon Clan sent another rank 4 true spirit cultivator out, he would be able to defeat him easily. This battle was indeed quite thrilling. The second round has ended. Tiger Clan S, first place, second place, third place, fourth place. For Lord S, do you have any objections? At the center of the arena, Zhao Dongqing withdrew his gaze from Tang Huan and smiled slightly, his voice resonating far away. No objections. Hu Lai's face was flushed red as he laughed loudly. If the Cloud Desolate City did not cause trouble, the Tiger Clan could have gotten 50% of the gem vein, and even though the number of mines obtained was less than 10%, compared to the ones obtained by the Tiger Clan, they were not worth mentioning. In Hu Lai's eyes, just Tang Huan alone was worth more than the entire load. Tang Huan was the true treasure. Long Xingqun smiled bitterly as he shook his head. Qian Yu, on the other hand, had a beautiful smile, and was rather satisfied. This gem vein did not have anything to do with Dragon Clan and Snake Clan. After cooperating with Tiger Clan to intimidate Cloud Desolate City, each of them was able to obtain 30% and 20% of the load, which could already be considered a huge harvest. However, compared to Qian Yu's satisfaction, Long Xingqun felt slightly regretful. After all, the Dragon Clan had only come for the first place position, and he had thought that victory was within his grasp. However, Tang Huan's appearance allowed the victory to slip away from the hands of the Dragon Clan. Brother Zhao, I have a slightly different opinion. Ying Feikin's eyes flashed, his face turned black, and suddenly shouted out. Amongst the four great clans the most miserable one was none other than Eagle Clan. With the powerful lineup of 5 rank 5 True Spirit Cultivators and 5 rank 4 True Spirit Cultivators, they ended up with a crushing defeat, and not only did they end up as the laughingstock of others, the original 50% of the mine only ended up with an extremely pitiful 10%. How could Ying Feikin accept such an outcome? Oh, Eagle Clan, please speak. Zhao Dongqing looked at Ying Feikin, and Hu Lai's gaze landed on his body, feeling surprised. Brother Zhao, I suspect that Tang Huan is already more than 25 years old. Ying Feikin said coldly. Bullshit. Hu Lai was furious, while Long Xingqun and Qian Yu looked at each other. Ying Feikin, suddenly suspecting Tang Huan's age, had indeed surprised them. Don't worry, Tiger Clan. Zhao Dongqing waved his hand, gesturing for Ying Feikin to continue. Ying Feikin snorted, firing Dragon Mountain Range. Just how many talented young cultivators do you have? All the other clans know about this. Tiger Clan's Hu Zhuan, Hu Qin, Dragon Clan's Long Zuying, and the rest are all famous people. Only this Tang Huan, who has never heard of him before, is like someone suddenly appearing out of nowhere, causing people to be suspicious of his background and age. Maybe the Tiger Clan had found a strong person who is good at concealment and disguised as a cultivator of the peak rank 3 True Spirit. Long Xingqun and Qian Yu subconsciously exchanged glances. Ying Feikin's words did make some sense. Nonsense. Hu Lai's hair stood on end like steel needles. He angrily shouted, and then coldly laughed. There's no need to talk about Tang Huan's origin. Since he represents my Tiger Clan in battle, then he is a member of my Tiger Clan. As for his age, Ying Feikin, since you doubt it, why don't we make a bet? If he is over 25, then I will give your Eagle Clan all of my mines, but if he is not over 25, what are you going to do? Ying Feikin's eyes were overcast. After hesitating for a moment, he said decisively, if he hasn't surpassed the age limit, then 10% of the mines in our Eagle Clan would belong to our Tiger Clan. Hu Lai laughed sarcastically, using 10% of the veins to exchange for 40% of my Tiger Clan's veins. You have a good plan. What else do you want? Ying Feikin's eyes were cold. I heard that your Tiger Clan has 6 azure fire purple light stone. Hu Lai squinted his eyes and said word by word, impossible. Ying Feikin practically did not even think about it, as he reflexively shouted coldly. The azure fire purple light stone was a kind of lower-grade divine stone. Although it was synthesized after birth, it could not compare to natural divine stone, but it was still an incomparably precious treasure, so how could he take out such a treasure to bet? Hu Lai looked at Ying Feikin with contempt. Since you don't dare to bet, Then stop being so noisy here. After saying that, Hu Lai's gaze turned to Zhao Dongqing, and invited him passionately. Brother Zhao, the four clans' competition has already ended, and this place is extremely close to Wind Howling City. Alright, this old man has the same intentions as you. Zhao Dongqing nodded and smiled. Hold on. Ying Feiken suddenly clenched his teeth. Hu Lai, I will bet with you, but I can only take out 3 Azure Fire Purple Light Stones. Chapter 790, Divine Level Stone Betting. With that said, Ying Feiken stared straight at Hu Lai and sneered in his heart. This old thing was sure that he was not willing to use Azure Fire Purple Light Stone as a wager, thus he had nothing to fear. Now that he had suddenly agreed to his request, how was he going to respond? But just as Ying Feiken was prepared to enjoy Hu Lai's ugly expression, Hu Lai suddenly burst into laughter. Good. If it's 3, it'll break. This old thing actually agreed to it? Seeing that Hu Lai had agreed so readily, Long Xingquan and Qi On Yu were both stunned. Ying Feiken was even more surprised to the point that his eyes turned round and he became hesitant in his heart. Even people of their cultivation level couldn't figure out what Tang Huan was hiding. It was completely different from common sense. How could a young man who was not even 25 years old possess such a terrifying method and strength that greatly surpassed his cultivation level? Because of this, he believed that Tang Huan was definitely not as young as he appeared on the surface, and even more so not at the level of his peak rank 3 true spirit. It was also because of this that he dared to bet 10% of his mines and 3 lower grade divine stone on the 40% of the Tiger clan's mines. But now, Hu Lai's decisiveness made him start to doubt his previous judgment. Was his analysis wrong? Tang Huan, come over here. Just as Ying Feiken was feeling suspicious, Hu Lai had already shouted loudly. 100 meters away, Tang Huan, after hearing the sound, flew over. In just a few breaths of time, Tang Huan had already arrived in front of everyone. He bowed and said, Tang Huan greets Lord, Senior Zhao, Dragon Clan Elder, Qi On Yu Lord Elder, Eagle Clan Elder. When his gaze landed on Ying Feiken, the corner of Tang Huan's lips slightly curled up, revealing a hint of a smile that was not a smile. He had caught all of the arguments over here earlier, so he naturally knew why Hu Lai had called him over. Brother Zhao, the rest is up to you. Hu Lai looked at Zhao Dongqing with a smile. This old man is duty-bound. Zhao Dongqing nodded and said to Ying Feiken, Long Xingquan and Qi On Yu, everyone, this old man has a small method to judge a person's age from the aura of a cultivator. Immediately after, he looked at Tang Huan with praise and said, Little brother, I wonder if you are willing to let this old man see your true age? Of course, Tang Huan said with a smile. As he spoke, Tang Huan no longer restrained himself, and allowed his own qi to spread out. The intensity of this qi was no different from that of ordinary peak rank 3 true spirit cultivators, but the force contained within the qi's fluctuations was comparable to that of ordinary rank 5 true spirit cultivators. Today, it was the first time Tang Huan revealed his true essence. Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan, Qi On Yu, and even Hu Lai had been moved, but the expression on Ying Feiken's face suddenly changed, and the bad premonition in the bottom of his heart grew even stronger. Alright, Zhao Dongqing stretched out his hand and grabbed, and the formless energy that was undulating outwards condensed in his palm. As time passed, 5 colors actually started to gradually appear, and an additional trace of surprise appeared on his face. Little brother, when you were condensing your core, what you comprehended was actually the way of 5 elements. Exactly. Tang Huan nodded slightly. Hearing this, Long Xingquan and Qi On Yu were both shocked. Ying Feiken's expression became even uglier, but after Hu Lai had been stunned for a short while, his eyebrows knitted up in joy. The path of 5 elements is that of way of nature. This old man has finally found out. When little brother used that method of concealing his figure, this old man and the others weren't even able to discern a single trace of it. Zhao Dongqing sighed as the 5 colors odor in his palm continued to expand. It's about time. After about 10 breaths of time, Zhao Dongqing stopped absorbing Tang Huan's qi, and the 5 fingers on his right hand started to move in a strange rhythm. The 5 colors odor rose up from his palm and started to swell at a fast speed. In a blink of an eye, it transformed into a figure. It was Tang Huan. Zhao Dongjing's 5 fingers did not stop moving, and the rainbow Tang Huan kept on changing, but the more she changed, the smaller her body became. In the end, she had actually turned into a tiny infant. Seeing this strange scene, Tang Huan was extremely surprised. He had just counted the number of times that the figure had undergone a total of 24 transformations. Everyone must have seen it clearly. Zhao Dongjing's gaze swept across Long Xingquan and the others, then looked at Tang Huan and laughed. Little brother is 24 years old this year. 24. Although he had some expectations, after hearing these few words, Tang Huan was still startled. This person was a little older than he had expected. But, upon thinking about it, Tang Huan felt relieved. Back then, when he had passed the Lingzhou Ancient Road trial, he had immediately entered the Forging God Great World. That process seemed to have happened in an instant, but in reality, it should have taken a long time. If not for that, he wouldn't even be 24 years old right now. 24? How could this be? The bad premonition from the bottom of his heart had finally turned into reality. Ying Feiken stared at Tang Huan with his eyes wide open, his face ashen, to the point where his body was trembling. If not, the Eagle clan would have lost 10% of its vein and 3 synthetic lower-grade divine stone. But even if he was given 10 more guts, he would still not dare to question Zhao Dongjing, who had come from the Pure Yang Sword sect, nor would he dare to act against Zhao Dongjing. Seeing Ying Feiken's despondent appearance, a trace of sympathy surfaced in Long Xingquan and Qian Yu's eyes. However, this couldn't be blamed on others. If it wasn't for Ying Feiken and the Cloud Desolate City colluding with each other, the Eagle clan would definitely be sitting on 50% of the mine. It was truly a self-inflicted disaster and not something to live on. Leader of the Eagle clan, I shall take the 3 Azure Fire Purple Light Stone and the 10% mine. Don't forget to send the Divine Level Stone over to the Wind Howling City. Hu Lai was beaming with joy, and laughed out loud. Ying Feiken regained his senses. An indescribable rage started to rise from the bottom of his heart. Although he did not say anything, when he looked at Hu Lai and Tang Huan, the fury in his eyes seemed to have solidified, and he wished to burn the 2 of them to ashes. With regards to Ying Feiken's anger, Hu Lai acted as if he did not see it at all, and said with a beaming smile, "Brother Zhao, let's go to Wind Howling City now." "Brother Long, Lord Qian Yu, there's no harm in coming to Wind Howling City together." "Alright, then we'll accept it." Long Xingquan and Qian Yu looked at each other for a moment before agreeing. When the results of the bet between Hu Lai and Yu Yang was announced, the surrounding area immediately went into an uproar. Immediately after, the people of Tiger Clan were extremely happy and excited, while the people of Eagle Clan cultivators were extremely dejected and dejected. However, it was the Lord who had lost to the mines and Divine Level Stone, causing them to not dare say anything. The people of Dragon Clan and Snake Clan were actually extremely envious of the Tiger Clan. They never thought that such an unexpected situation would happen in such a short period of time, where the Tiger Clan, who only had 50% of the mine and 3 pieces of Divine Stone, was the biggest winner, while the Eagle Clan, who had originally thought that he could obtain first place, had already lost to even his pandies. Amidst the clamor, the 4 clans' competition finally came to an end. Chapter 791, Snake Clan still. Tiger Clan, Dragon Clan and a portion of the cultivators left behind their camp at the mines. After that, the 3 clans would arrange for people to mine the mines. As for the Eagle Clan, this mine no longer mattered to them, as all the Eagle Clan cultivators had already followed Ying Feiken and left in disappointment. As for the other cultivators of the Dragon Clan, they followed their lord to the Tiger Clan. When the group of cultivators returned to the Wind Howling City, the entire city was shaken. All sorts of information regarding the competition quickly spread, causing countless cultivators to discuss about it. And what made people especially excited was Tang Huan, who was like a black horse coming out of hiding in the sky. Tang Huan, who was ridiculed because his peak rank 3 true spirit cultivation had been selected to participate in the second round of the competition for Dragon Clan, lost to Long Yongxuan, who had lost first, then to Long Zi, who had lost to the peak rank 4 true spirit, and then to Long Zuying, who was at the peak of the rank 5 true spirit. Tang Huan practically helped the Tiger Clan to obtain first place in the competition by himself. Other than the astonishing cultivation level that Tang Huan had revealed, his identity as a weapon refiner caused the people of the Tiger Clan to be extremely excited. The Four Great Clans was a remote place in the Forging God Great World. The original surname of the Four Great Clans was Bloodline Great Image, and it was simply impossible for a weapon refiner to appear. Although cultivators with another surname could become a weapon refiner, they could not be counted on one hand due to their luck and resources. It could be said that the Firing Dragon Mountain range lacked the soil to cultivate them. If the Four Great Clans wanted to buy a weapon, he could only use a gem to exchange for another or use a initial spirit heavenly crystal to buy one. But now, the Tiger Clan actually saw hope for him to forge a weapon. With Tang Huan's peak rank 3 true spirit cultivation, his attainments in forging weapons were probably not low at all. It was also because of this that Long Xingquan and Qian Yu accepted Hu Lai's invitation to bring the cultivators of the two clans to the Wind Howling City. Compared to Tang Huan's miraculous performance, Hu Lai and Ying Feikin's wager, winning over 10% of the mine and 3 pieces of divine stone, was actually not that eye-catching. Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan and the others followed Hu Lai to the Tiger Vigor Summit, while the young cultivators of the Dragon Clan and the Snake Clan were arranged to live together with the clan guardians. Because of Tang Huan, Squad 50's Li Danan, Hu Kai and the others suddenly became very popular, especially Chen Yu, who came from the Chen village. Ever since the end of Four Clans' competition, there had been many people surrounding her, trying to find out more about Tang Huan's situation. Chen Yu was never tired of it, and the moment she entered the Wind God Valley, she hid in Tang Huan's courtyard. Finally, peace and quiet. Closing the gate to the courtyard, Chen Yu breathed a sigh of relief, and walked towards Tang Huan with a smile as beautiful as flowers. After the identity of the weapon refiner was exposed during the competition, Hu Lai had ordered that no one from his clan was allowed to disturb Tang Huan. When she came here, there was finally no one by her side to pester her anymore. That's not necessarily true, Tang Huan suddenly said. Oh? Chen Yu was startled. He just sat down on the stone chair beside Tang Huan, and noticed the sound of light footsteps. Following that, a knocking sound came out. But the Lady Yiran, come in. He smiled at Chen Yu, and Tang Huan turned to look at the courtyard door and said. Just as Tang Huan finished speaking, the courtyard door creaked open and a tall and graceful figure entered his eyes. It was a young woman with delicate facial features, beautiful face, and skin as white as cream that could be broken with a blow. Beneath her eyebrows, there seemed to be 2 streams of spring water contained within her black eyes that were as bright as the stars. Her legs were long and slender, and her waist could barely fit in the grasp. However, her chest and buttocks were abnormally full and perky, and did not seem exaggerated in the slightest. Instead, it just happened to benefit her body, making her appear even more graceful. After pushing open the gate, she gracefully walked towards Tang Huan and Chen Yu. Dressed in a blue dress, her waist swaying like a water snake, her beautiful curves were completely revealed, and her entire body was emitting a mature charm. Yes, it's Snake Clan. Greetings, Brother Tang. The blue-dressed woman cupped her hands towards Tang Huan, her eyes curved into an extremely beautiful arc, and her delicate face bloomed into a smile that could shake the world. Please have a seat, Lady Yiran. Tang Huan laughed, and could not help but size up the blue-dressed lady, who remained silent for a moment, with eyes filled with unconcealable praise and amazement. Forget about the men from Snake Clan. The Snake Clan women seemed to have gathered all the essence of heaven and earth. They were all as beautiful as flowers. Snake Clan and Lian Yu were the same, but this was even more so. Of course, Chen Yu was not inferior to her by much, but their beauty belonged to two different styles. "Thank you, Brother Tang." She was still sitting opposite of Tang Huan with a smile that was like flowers. Then, her eyes moved and looked at Chen Yu, who was beside Tang Huan. "I am Chen Yu." Sensing that Tang Huan's expression was still different from before, Chen Yu could not help but snort lightly with a heavy face. She subconsciously moved the stone chair closer to where Tang Huan was sitting, her eyes revealing a trace of vigilance and precaution that even she herself was not aware of. Still unknowingly smiling, she lifted her jade-like fingers slightly, lifting the hair at her temples to her ears. Although this action was small, it made her look extremely charming and seductive in an instant. Even though Chen Yu found her extremely unpleasing to the eye, he had no choice but to admit that this woman was always able to borrow the strength of some unintentional little trick to display her absolute beauty. Thinking about himself, Chen Yu suddenly felt a little sour in his heart. "Brother Tang, all this while, little sister has always been proud of her cultivation and strength, but after seeing what you can do, little sister realized that she really was a little overseeing in the past. Compared to Brother Tang, little sister's cultivation level is not even worth mentioning. Lady Yiran is too modest." Tang Huan laughed involuntarily. Naturally he would not lose his head from such flattery. "Lady Yiran, what are you looking for me for today? If there's nothing else, can't I talk to Brother Tang?" However, before Tang Huan could speak, a smile had already appeared on her forehead, as the topic changed. "All right, Brother Tang guessed right. I indeed have a matter to discuss with Brother Tang, but I don't know if I should speak of it." As he finished speaking, his expression still seemed somewhat embarrassed. Chapter 792, Heavenly Blacksmith. Seeing that her expression was still the same, Tang Huan faintly guessed what she wanted to say, and slowly laughed. "If Lady Yiran feels embarrassed to speak, then it's better that you don't say any more. We should talk about other things." He was looking for him at this time because he wanted to find him to forge a weapon. However, Tang Huan didn't have any plans on forging weapons for the time being. After all, he was not familiar with the way of refining in the forging god great world, and needed to get a good understanding of the situation first. Furthermore, even if he understood the situation, he would still need to give priority to forging weapons for the Tiger Clan. "Huh?" Still choked to death by Tang Huan's words, her watery beautiful eyes widened roundly, and her beautiful face was filled with astonishment. Obviously, she didn't expect him to say such a thing. Chen Yu was startled. She immediately covered her mouth, preventing herself from laughing it out, but her eyes had curved like crescent moons. She was secretly satisfied. "Brother Tang, what do you want to talk about?" After a while, she had already regained her senses, and when she looked at Tang Huan again, the expression in her eyes was tinged with hidden bitterness, causing others to be unable to help themselves from feeling pity for her. Tang Huan acted like he did not see anything, and said smilingly, "Among all the four great clans, Snake Clan is the most mysterious, and this is the first time I have seen him." It was said that the Snake Clan cultivators lived in underground caves, and her myriad caves city lived thousands of meters underground. Within the city, there are countless caves of varying sizes crisscrossing each other. It's like a maze, incomparably mystical. "Brother Tang, you must be joking. This is just a rumor." Hearing that, her pretty face slightly twitched, and she actually had the urge to curse in her heart. "We are Snake Clan, right?" Snake Clan's base, Myriad Caves City, was indeed filled with caves, but it was just a low-lying area, not constructed in the depths of the earth. Tang Huan suddenly understood. "So that's how it is." "Lady Yiran, I also heard that. It's already late, Brother Tang. I won't disturb you any further. We'll chat again in the future." Tang Huan had not finished speaking when she was interrupted by a tender cry. Immediately after, she stood up once more, and by the time she finished speaking, she was already at the entrance of the courtyard. This Tang Huan was simply too cunning. She was worried that if she did not leave, Tang Huan would ask even more questions that would make people want to beat him up. Puchy. Once he left, Chen Yu couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Tang Huan, you're really too bad." "Don't talk nonsense, I'm really curious," Tang Huan said in all seriousness. but in his heart he felt somewhat helpless. Hulai strictly forbade the Tiger Clan from coming and disturbing him, but it was impossible for the Dragon Clan and the Snake Clan cultivators to come and find him. He had just returned to the Wind God Valley and he didn't want to immediately hide there to cultivate. Of course, Tang Huan reckoned that it would only be this day, and he would have a headache tomorrow. The first people to come to find him wouldn't be Dragon Clan or Dragon Clan. Sure enough, in the morning the next day, the ones who came to visit Tang Huan once again were still empty with Lianyu and the rest. Peak of Tiger Vigor Summit, Tiger Divine Palace. The moment Tang Huan entered the palace, he was shocked by Hulai's enthusiasm. Little brother, you really hid an old man like me from me with much difficulty. I really didn't think that little brother would actually be a weapon refiner. Hulai held Tang Huan's arms tightly and pushed him onto the praying mat, the smile on his face almost overflowing. Looking at Tang Huan, his two copper bell-like eyes were blooming with light, as if he was sizing up a rare treasure that could not be measured by its value. If he did not have to entertain Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan, Qian Yu and the others yesterday, he would have gotten Hu Zhao to bring Tang Huan over to the Tiger Divine Palace a long time ago. It was not easy to hold it in until today, and he could not hold it in any longer. Therefore, just as dawn arrived, Tang Huan arrived. The tools method attainments is limited, it's not worth mentioning. Tang Huan laughed. Little brother, you are too modest. According to Zhao Ci's judgment, little brother, you should at least be at the level of a lower-grade heavenly blacksmith, Hulai said with a smile. Lower-grade heavenly blacksmith. Tang Huan was startled. Back then in the small world, Tang Huan felt that he had learned a lot of information from Luo, but after he had actually reached the Forging God Great World, he realized that the information he had gathered from Luo was pitifully little. It was even his first time hearing about the word heavenly blacksmith. Seeing Tang Huan's expression, Hulai thought that he had acknowledged it. Immediately, Hulai became even more excited. Above weapon refining Grandmaster is Heavenly Blacksmith, and Heavenly Blacksmith is also divided into low, middle, high, Heaven stage and Saint stage. This little brother is only 24 years old, and is already a lower grade Heavenly Blacksmith. Hulai's words did not count as flattery, as in his eyes, Tang Huan was a disciple who was out training. With Tang Huan's background, as long as he performs well enough in the future, the War Clan will definitely be able to provide him with enough resources to continuously upgrade his tools method attainments. One day, Tang Huan would definitely become a saint-rank heavenly blacksmith. Unfortunately, he did not know that it was only because of the Sun Spirit body that Tang Huan had obtained the golden blood, and he was not the real War Clan. Saint-rank heavenly blacksmith, that's easier said than done. Tang Huan had no idea about the situation with the saint-rank heavenly blacksmith, and pretended to sigh while shaking his head. Being able to become a lower-grade heavenly blacksmith can already be considered inviting the heavens. At this point, for every little bit of increase in the tools method attainments to occur, the amount of resources used up will be incomparably terrifying. Indeed, Hulai agreed and nodded. However, little brother, do not be anxious. Brother, this Tiger Clan actually has so many gems. Little brother, just open your mouth wide and use them. He still had 50% of the neon gem load. I have already told Dragon Clan and Snake Clan that we will mine that mine as fast as possible so that we can exchange it for many other different gems. Other than that, if little brother wants something, you can directly go to Tiger Crouching to get it. If you want a cultivation technique, you can also enter Tiger Might Hall at any time. How can that be? Tang Huan was shocked. Tang Huan's intentions were clear to Tang Huan. He wanted to invest in his weapon refiner, and he used so many resources from his Tiger Clan. If he didn't forge some weapons for his Tiger Clan in the future, it wouldn't make sense. Even if it was because of his identity as a War Clan, that was why Hulai made such a decision, which was enough to make people have a whole new level of respect for him. After all, not everyone was as bold as Hulai, and what Hulai had said just now was equivalent to opening up all the resources in the Tiger Clan to him, and allowing him to obtain whatever he wanted. Little brother, you don't have to be courteous to me. Hulai sighed. Old brother, I am also a little selfish by doing this, for Great Clans was considered the #1 power in the entire Firing Dragon Mountain range, but in the entire Yin state, it was nothing much. In the entire world, it was not even worth mentioning. For a power like ours, wanting to obtain a few good weapons is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. If little brother can gain some benefits from this bit of resources from Tiger Clan, little brother will definitely not be able to treat our Tiger Clan well. Chapter 793, A Handwritten Letter. Okay, old brother, I will do as you say. Tang Huan remained silent for a moment, then took a deep breath and said, Hu Lai's help did indeed have a reason for it, but Tang Huan was still very grateful. With his current strength, he wouldn't be able to obtain so many things in a short period of time. Of course, if the Tiger Clan truly consumed a large amount of resources, Tang Huan would definitely forge enough weapons in the future to repay the debt. Little brother, there is no need to thank me for this great favor. Seeing that Tang Huan had agreed, Hu Lai was overjoyed. He suddenly stood up and bowed deeply to Tang Huan. Tang Huan immediately sprung up and held Hu Lai. After a while, the two of them sat back down. Little brother, this is a handwritten letter that one of our ancestors in Tiger Clan accidentally obtained. Then, Hu Lai took out an old book with a yellowed page, and handed it over to Tang Huan. It is said that the owner of this book is a upper-grade blacksmith. This thing has been in our Tiger Clan for almost 1,000 years, and it has never been put into use. Thank you, brother. Tang Huan accepted it. His heart was secretly happy. This thing was exactly what he was in urgent need of. However, Tang Huan still maintained a calm expression. After all, he was now the War Clan, and the upper-grade blacksmith's handwritten letter was a treasure to him. It was probably not something rare in the War Clan, and if he got too excited, it would cause suspicions to arise in Hu Lai's heart. After a long while, Tang Huan finally left the Tiger Divine Palace under Hu Lai's expectant gaze. However, he did not return to the Wind God Valley, but instead followed behind a young man named Hu Qian, and headed towards the Tiger Crouching, where there was a small palace specially used to store various types of precious stones. The current Tang Huan was like a heavenly emperor and a great star from his previous life. When he appeared outside the Tiger Crouching, he was immediately recognized by the people. After that, no matter where Tang Huan went, he immediately became the focus of attention of all the cultivators there. If not knowing that Hu Qian who led the way was one of Lord's trusted followers, there might have been people who could not help but come forward to chat. Following behind Hu Qian, he made a left and right turn along the corridor, and finally arrived in front of a small hall. Brother Tang, this is the place. Please. Hu Qian stopped and laughed. Thank you, Brother Hu Qian. Tang Huan smiled and nodded, then pushed open the door and walked in. After a moment, Tang Huan's line of sight was filled with a resplendent luster. In the palace's space that was over 100 meters in length and width, all kinds of gems were piled into a small mountain. Other than a few heavenly jewels, the majority of them were saint-grade gems. Amongst the pile of gems, there were still a few iron ore of different colors scattered about. Tang Huan could not call out their names, but the spirit chi they emitted were extremely powerful. The quality of these iron ore were probably not any weaker than the indestructible brilliant golden he used to forge low-leveled divine armament. As for the high-grade raw stone he found last time, he was lying quietly on the left corner of palace. He had not cut it open yet, and it was unknown what kind of divine-level stone was hidden inside the thick stone gum. Creak. Hu Qian closed the door, and the many eyes of the Tiger Clan cultivators who followed along were all blocked outside. Tang Huan quickly went around the palace once, secretly exclaiming in his heart. There were at least 100 types of saint-grade gem here, and recognized some of them, but it was the first time he had seen some of them. Without a few decades, Tiger Clan would not be able to save these things. If he could use all these gems and get enough iron ore, he could at least forge thousands upon thousands of high-quality Saint-rank weapons. Tang Huan had observed that ever since he entered the Forging God Great World, the cultivators he had met all used Saint-ranked weapons. Of course, They weren't ordinary Saint-Tier weapons, they were the best of Saint-Tier weapons. In a blink of an eye, Tang Huan had already chosen a small clearing and sat cross-legged there. Then, he took out the handwritten letter from his bosom and began to read it. The handwritten letter was rather thick, roughly over 100 pages long. Tang Huan's speed was extremely fast, to the point that he could see 10 lines at a glance. Not long later, he had finished flipping through all of the pages, but the contents of the handwritten letter were completely branded into his soul. After that, Tang Huan slowly closed his eyes and thought back. After a long while, a slight smile appeared on Tang Huan's forehead, as he had a rough understanding of the Forging God Great World's way of refining. And just as Hu Lai had casually revealed, above Weapon Refining Grandmaster were lower-grade Heavenly Blacksmith S, Intermediate Heavenly Blacksmith S, Upper-grade Blacksmith S, Heaven-ranked Heavenly Blacksmith S, and Saint-ranked Heavenly Blacksmith S. As for the weapons that surpassed the Saint rank were called Heavenly Soldier. Just like the Weapon Refiner, there were also low, middle, high, Heaven and Earth ranks and Saint ranks. The Conqueror Spear, Xuan Yuan Sword, Dragon Slaughtering Saber and exquisite carving bow that Tang Huan forged belonged to the lower-level Divine Armament, and their power was equivalent to that of lower-level Heavenly Soldier. The biggest difference between the two was that the Divine Armament was able to fuse with the cultivator's body, while the Heavenly Soldier was not. However, when one reached the middle-stage Divine Armament, that was not something a middle-stage Heavenly Soldier could compare to. There were very few records of the Divine Armament in this letter. However, there was a very detailed description of the forging process of the Heavenly Soldier as within, especially the more than 10 times where the forging heavenly armaments had failed. The lessons learned from the upper-grade blacksmith as were all recorded in this letter. It was extremely detailed. Other than that, there was a sigh that seemed to go through the entire letter. It's a pity that this old man is not Gem Synthetic Master. Otherwise, I would never have failed. We need divine level stone S for our forging heavenly armaments. Tang Huan put away the letter, as his mind raced. Just like how the world doesn't have the same 2 leaves, for a synthetic divine level stone, there would never be the same 2 leaves. Even if it's a synthetic divine level stone of the same species, the quality and characteristics are extremely minute differences. This tiny difference is often able to determine the success or failure of a forging heavenly armaments. The person who understood the situation of a certain gem the best must have been the Gem Synthetic Master who created it. Sometimes, Gem Synthetic Master understands things that he cannot detect very well. It was because of this that the upper-grade blacksmith kept sighing. The most important reason why he failed to forge those Heavenly Soldier S was because he did not notice the differences in the divine level stone before forging the weapon. However, after he understood this point, it was already too late for him to make any adjustments. Of course, Tang Huan only scoffed at his sighs. In the end, the upper-grade blacksmith's tools method attainments was still not strong enough. If every heavenly blacksmith were to fail in refining, then it would be better to not continue refining. In this world, the number of weapon refiners who could be counted on one hand. Gem Synthetic Master is even rarer than weapon refiner. Tang Huan's eyes flashed. In this forging God Great World, there is a huge disparity between the number of weapon refiners and the number of and cultivators who are also Gem Synthetic Master S and Heavenly Blacksmith S are even less. Within 10,000 Heavenly Blacksmith S, there might not even be one Gem Synthetic Master coming out. Chapter 794, Gem Synthetic Master. The Gem Synthetic Master was a combination of all these divine level stone. Every single Gem Synthetic Master was a member of the strong generation, and even the lowest level Gem Synthetic Master was still a true spirit level cultivators. Of course, it was fortunate that the weight of the fusion divine level stone was far lower than that of the natural divine stone, which was why a low-level Gem Synthetic Master would not be able to take on the joke of him synthesizing a divine level stone himself. Tang Huan still vividly remembered the weight of the natural divine stone. That thing was unbelievably heavy. If even lower-grade divine stone were like that, Then what about higher ranked divine level stone? The difficulty of using natural divine stone to forge weapons could be imagined. On the contrary, the difficulty of using divine level stone to make weapons was much lower. Of course, the prerequisite would be a divine level stone of the same rank. In the Forging God Great World, if one wishes to become a weapon refiner, one must first head to the heavenly region in the central region of the Forging God Great World to receive the inheritance of the true fire. Almost no single true fire would be able to survive in that place, and this is one of the most important reasons why there aren't many weapon refiner in such a remote area like the Firing Dragon Mountain Range. This is quite different from a small world. In the small world, as long as one has money, he would be able to buy true fires from weapon stores or gem store. The reason why it was so difficult for to appear in small worlds like the Forging God Great World was because of the true fire seed. This Forging God Great World's true fire seed has existed for God knows how many years, and has long developed an incomparably strong spirit. If a normal cultivator wanted to forcefully go there and obtain the true fire, they would probably turn into dust before they could even get their hands on it. Relatively speaking, it would be safer to go to the heavenly region to receive the inheritance of the true fire. However, the heavenly province is so far away, but it will cause the vast majority of cultivators in the remote areas to stop in their tracks. As for becoming a gem synthetic master, the difficulty is greater than becoming a weapon refiner. To synthesize a gem, one first needs to fuse with a wood attribute spiritual fire. In the small world, there are only 5 spiritual fires, which are coincidentally divided into the gold, wood, water, fire and earth 5 elements. Amongst them, there is only one type of wood attribute spiritual fire, and in the Forging God Great World, the number of spiritual fires is even more, but no matter how many spiritual fires there are, compared to the true fire, there are just too few of them, which also caused the number of gem synthetic masters to be extremely small. There's more than one type of wood attribute spiritual fire, and there's definitely more than one type of soil attribute spirit fire. If I want to obtain my own soil attribute spirit fire, it isn't necessarily colored glaze spiritual fire. There's absolutely no need to find that weapon refiner's white crane who brought this kind of spiritual fire into the Forging God Great World a few thousand years ago. In addition, I have long since merged with the wood attribute spiritual fire Bodhisattva fire, so I can definitely become a gem synthetic master. In the blink of an eye, a large number of thoughts flashed through Tang Huan's mind, and a smile uncontrollably surfaced on the corner of his mouth. Of the things he had been thinking about, there was only a brief description of them on the handwritten letter. It was not detailed at all, and most of them were conclusions that he had came to after careful analysis. Tang Huan dared to guarantee that it was completely correct, but he believed that it was most likely correct as well. After knowing about the existence of the gem synthetic master, Tang Huan initially did not wish for himself to become one of them. After all, there were too few of these people. But now, Tang Huan felt an uncontrollable impulse in the bottom of his heart, because becoming an obstacle in the way of the gem synthetic master simply didn't exist for him. Once he became a gem synthetic master, he could create divine level stone for himself at any time. If he wanted any divine level stone, he could synthesize any divine level stone he wanted, and when refining, he would not have to be controlled by others. Otherwise, they would need some kind of divine level stone. Either they go to the gem synthetic master to ask for help, or they could only search the entire world to find them, and after that they could spend a large amount of initial spirit heavenly crystal to buy them. The Wind Howling City definitely does not have a gem synthetic master. I just wonder if the Tiger Clan has any letters or notes that he would like to collect. While he was thinking, Tang Huan had already stood up and walked out of the hall. If Tiger Clan didn't have it, he could perhaps take a look at Dragon Clan and Snake Clan. Gem Synthetic Master's handwritten notes. After a long while, inside the Tiger Divine Palace, Hu Lai gasped in surprise. Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan and Qian Yu also looked towards Tang Huan in surprise. When Tang Huan followed Hu Qian back to the Tiger Divine Palace once again, Hu Lai and the others were discussing about the mining operations. This time, Tang Huan did not avoid Zhao Dongqing, Long Xingquan and Qian Yu. "Little brother, what do you want this for?" Long Xingquan stroked his long beard and said with some confusion, "In this world, only the gem synthetic master knows the characteristics of gems, and especially divine level stone. If I were to see the notes in their letters, it would definitely be beneficial to my path of artifact forging. The most powerful weapon that I am able to forge right now is a saint rank weapon. I have always wanted to try out my forging heavenly armaments, but was unsure of it, and did not dare to make a move in the end." Tang Huan smiled as he spoke frankly with confidence. He did not want to reveal his true purpose, so he thought of a good reason on the way here. "Indeed." Zhao Dongqing nodded his head and smiled. "Ever since our Pure Yang sword sect became a heavenly blacksmith, he started to collect letters and notes from all over the place. Unfortunately, this thing is too rare, and after dozens of years, we only found a mere 2 of them. Usually they are treated like treasures and are unwilling to lend them to anyone else, unless there is a heavenly blacksmith who used the notes from other gem synthetic master to exchange." As he finished speaking, Zhao Dongqing was already feeling rather helpless. Otherwise, this old man could borrow it and let little brother read it. Gem synthetic master's handwritten notes are not comparable to weapon refiner's handwritten notes. They are indeed extremely rare. Hu Lai could not help but laugh bitterly. "This old man has lived for over 100 years. I have only seen him once at an auction." Speaking till this point, Hu Lai could not help but look at Long Xingquan and Qian Yu. "Brother Long, Lord, I wonder if Dragon Clan and Snake Clan have such a treasure?" Long Xingquan shook his head and sighed. "Brother Hu, I am even worse than you. You have at least seen it before, but I have never seen it before." After Tang Huan heard this, he could not help but feel some disappointment in his heart. The gem synthetic master's handwritten notes were so rare that it far exceeded his expectations. Even the strongest powers in the Yan state, the Pure Yang sword sect, only had such pitiful strength, let alone the rest of the Dragon Clans. "Our Snake Clan seems to have a share of this stuff." A melodious voice rang out. Tang Huan's heart was moved, his gaze immediately landing on Qian Yu, Hu, Zhao Dongqing, and Long Xingquan all looked at him at the same time. "Lord Qian Yu, if you can lend me the money, I will definitely thank you." Hu Lai was ecstatic. "I would like to, but unfortunately, I am unable to do so. I will need little brother Tang Huan to personally head over to the Myriad Caves city to see." Qian Yu smiled beautifully. Chapter 795, Myriad Caves City. Whoosh! Tiger Vigor Summit, middle section of Spiritual Soul Cave. An abnormally fierce and rapid wave of aura suddenly broke the tranquility of this space. All the cultivators who were cultivating in this area were startled awake. The white-colored odor that was lingering around them quickly disappeared, and then, everyone turned to look at the center of the space. At the place closest to the giant tiger statue, a huge cloud of white mist seemed to have been stirred up by a hurricane and was violently churning. If it was before, when they saw this shockingly large tiger vigor essential chi, everyone would definitely be surprised like they were before at the cultivator who caused this kind of commotion. But now, almost everyone knew that the person who was cultivating was Tang Huan. TSK, the rank 4 true spirit. "We have only cultivated here for 10 days. And have already stepped into the rank 4 true spirit realm. In just a few short months, he broke through from the rank 1 true spirit to the rank 4 true spirit. Truly, compared to other people, it's extremely infuriating. If this speed continues, wouldn't Tang Huan be able to advance to the rank 7 true spirit very quickly? At that time, he will be the fastest person to become a guardian in our Tiger Clan." Everyone whispered amongst themselves, their expressions full of admiration and envy. There was even a hint of jealousy. Not too long after, the crazily increasing aura stabilized, and the white mist gradually calmed down. Everyone either continued to cultivate or left the spiritual soul cave. From time to time, new cultivators would enter this area to cultivate. Everything was back to normal. After 2 days, the gigantic ball of white mist suddenly started to quickly dissipate and melt. In just a few breaths of time, Tang Huan's figure had appeared. The present was different from the past. Tang Huan no longer needed to conceal himself. In the next moment, Tang Huan activated the number plate at his waist, and was wrapped by a black chi and left middle section of Spiritual Soul Cave. When he appeared again, he was already outside of Spiritual Soul Cave. Just now, he had felt a strange movement from the number plate. If he was not mistaken, Qian Yu and the rest should be returning to the Myriad Caves city soon. Whoosh! Tang Huan's body moved like a ray of light and quickly returned to the Wind God Valley. But when he arrived at the entrance of the number 643 courtyard, the scene that appeared in front of him made him startled. In the courtyard, Chen Yu, still, Lian Yu were chirping away noisily, talking and laughing merrily. It was unknown what they had just said, but Chen Yu's beautiful face was flushed red. Her pair of bright black eyes were filled with shyness and she gave off an alluring charm. The situation didn't seem right. Tang Huan and Chen Yu had known each other for so long, yet it was the first time he had seen her reveal such a bashful expression. And what confused him the most was that 10 days ago, Chen Yu still came to visit him in a very unwelcome manner, but now, saying that the two of them were blood-related sisters, probably no one would not believe him. What are you talking about? Tang Huan's figure moved, and he entered the courtyard. Nothing, nothing. The sudden voice startled the three people inside, especially Chen Yu. Her small hands continuously moved, and her cheeks flushed red, like a peach that had matured, as if a gentle pinch would cause juice to spill out, and the two of them who had regained their senses, pursed their lips and laughed. We came to say goodbye to little sister Chen Yu. And then, she continued to smile softly, her eyes as gentle as water. Brother Tang, are you ready? If you are ready, let's set off. That's right, it's a pity that little sister Chen Yu is a clan guardians. You can't leave. Otherwise, you can invite little sister Chen Yu to travel with us. Lian Yu also had a smile that was like a flower. I can leave at any time. Tang Huan swept his gaze across Chen Yu and the two others. Tang Huan, take care. After Chen Yu heard this, he did not care about being embarrassed anymore. There was a trace of reluctance in the gaze he used to look at Tang Huan. After about half an hour, a circular-shaped space aircraft shot up into the sky from the depths of the Wind God Valley. Inside the space in front of the flying shuttle, Tang Huan sat in front of the round table. By the side, Zhao Budian was sleeping soundly. After he finished eating all of Tang Huan's Saint-grade gem, Zhao Budian once again fell into a deep sleep. After all these years, Zhao Budian's slumber time grew longer and longer. This time, he would probably not wake up until half a year had passed. However, when it woke up, the shape of the fifth pair of wings would also appear. Tang Huan was looking forward to it. Whoosh, whiz. The two aircraft were like flowing lights, shuttling quickly in the sky. Qian Yu, Lian Yu and the rest of the Snake Clan cultivators were all gathered in the front of the round disc aircraft, and in the back of the flying shuttle, other than Tang Huan, there was another person, and that was Clan Guardian Commander Hu Zhao, who was a rank 7 true spirit cultivator. He was currently seated silently in the middle of the flying shuttle. Hu Lai was not opposed to Tang Huan going to the Snake Clan, but he did not have complete trust in the Snake Clan either. Although Tang Huan had never forged Heavenly Soldier before, his firepower had already reached the level of a lower-grade Heavenly Blacksmith. If that copy of Gem Synthetic Master's letter was just a pretense, then Snake Clan's purpose was quite thought-provoking. Of course, Snake Clan did not display anything abnormal at the moment, but Hu Lai had no choice but to be on guard, and so he sent Hu Zhao to travel with Tang Huan. If the Snake Clan made a move, Hu Zhao could use a strange method of communication to quickly let Hu Lai know of the news, so that he wouldn't be kept in the dark. Although Tang Huan felt that it was unnecessary, he did not have any arrangements to oppose Hu Lai. After a while, the two aircraft left the Wind Howling City at top speed, leaving Tiger Vigor Summit far behind. In order to avoid the attacks of the strong flying beasts deep within the Firing Dragon mountain range, the aircraft had always been circling around the border regions of the Firing Dragon mountain range. In the blink of an eye, Another 10 days passed. It was late in the evening, and the setting sun was as red as blood. Within Tang Huan's line of sight, the initially endless forest was suddenly replaced by a mountain range that reached into the clouds. There were dozens of them. At the foot of these mountain peaks, there was actually an incomparably dazzling and sparkling light that flickered and appeared. Under the reflection of the magnificent multicolored light that was shining down from the sky, it became even more dazzling and resplendent. Very quickly, the two aircraft entered the mountains. It was only then that Tang Huan realized that there were countless caves at the bottom of all the mountain peaks. The light beams were emitted from the inside the cave, and in between the mountain peaks and under the cover of the trees, there were countless roads and buildings. From time to time, he could see figures shuttling back and forth. This is the Myriad Caves city? Tang Huan's mind was slightly shaken. Just as he carefully sized them up a few times, the aircraft in front of him swooped down. Tang Huan immediately activated his flying shuttle and followed it. In just a few breaths of time, the two aircraft landed on an extremely wide field below. In the center of the arena, there were 9 massive jade pillars that were 100 meters tall. On top of each jade pillar, there were giant snakes coiling around. Chapter 796, God-Sealed Spirit Map. This was the Myriad Caves city. The center of the mountain was filled with black rocks that were hollowed out by the spiderweb-like cave. All caves were naturally formed and there were no signs of man-made excavation. Moreover, the texture of these rocks was extremely peculiar, constantly emitting countless specks of white light. Being in it was like walking in the sea of stars in the firmament. Each mountain peak was like a maze of caves. There were dozens of mountains and dozens of labyrinth caves, which were the Myriad Caves city's lair. Good fortune Bell. Even though he had met the Holy Spirit continent of the small world's Fian city and tranquil continent, Tang Huan was still amazed when he saw the Myriad Caves city. After putting away the space aircraft, and with Qian Yu and the others' guidance, Tang Huan and Hu Zhao followed a cave and entered the inner part of the mountain. The cave was over 10 meters wide, and its height was at least 30 or 40 meters. It was cool, dry, and completely devoid of any cold. From time to time, there would be forks in the road to the left and right. At the beginning, he had met many Snake Clan cultivators who respectfully bowed and saluted to Qian Yu, but the deeper they went into the mountain, the fewer Snake Clan cultivators they met. Everyone rapidly advanced. After around 15 minutes, they made a turn and arrived at the end of a cave. "We're here." Qian Yu smiled as he pointed ahead. Tang Huan looked over, and noticed that at the end of the cave, there was a crescent-shaped groove. Then, under everyone's watch, Qian Yu gracefully walked in front of the stone wall and placed his right hand on the groove. The white-colored odor lingered in his palm, and along with a burst of unusually violent energy fluctuations, the stone wall actually emitted a creaking sound, and slowly slid to the left. It was only a small crack, but one could already see that there was another world inside. When the entire thick stone wall was pushed open, the scene before their eyes became even more clear. "Little brother, after you." He gestured to Tang Huan and Qian Yu walked in first. The interior was an irregular oval space, each with a lengthened width of about 10 meters, separated by smooth stone slabs into several rooms of varying sizes. The first thing that everyone entered into should be the hall. Other than a few simple stone tables and chairs, there were no other decorations. After a while, Qian Yu had already opened the largest room. With a smile spread across his forehead, "Little brother, this is the place." This place is the cave of the Gem Synthetic Master. No one knows when the cave dwelling first appeared, but 1,000 years ago, when our Snake Clan moved over to build it, it had already existed. It is very likely that someone had already visited it before, and other than a large pile of precious stone scraps, there is nothing else of value inside. And also through those things, the ancestors of our Snake Clan. I think this is the cave of a Gem Synthetic Master. When our ancestors in the Snake Clan found this place, they even found a skeleton in this room. It should be that of the Gem Synthetic Master, and his letter was carved in this room, but it was all contained in a spirit map, and is said to be a God-sealed spirit map. God-sealed spirit map? Is he a gem synthetic master at the same time? Hearing that, Tang Huan's heart could not help but move. The letter from the upper-grade blacksmith that Hu Lai had given him had mentioned the words God-sealed spirit map. It was a very powerful spirit map technique, and it was carved into the weapon. When fighting with an enemy and killing them, one could seal their soul into their weapon, leaving them with no way to escape. This kind of God-sealed spirit map was a perfect match with his spirit adhesion. After knowing that there was a God-sealed spirit map when they existed, Tang Huan's heart had been restless and he had even tried to deduce their situation. Unfortunately, the records in the heavenly blacksmith's handwritten letter were too sparse and there were no ready-made God-sealed spirit map for him to examine, so he had no idea how to proceed. But he did not expect that when he came to Snake Clan this time, he would run into a God-sealed spirit map. Even if he did not have the gem synthetic master's letter and was able to observe and study the God-sealed spirit map, coming to the Snake Clan this time would not have been a waste. In that moment, a large amount of thoughts went through Tang Huan's mind. A look of happiness flashed past his eyes. Extremely possible. In the last 1,000 years, our Snake Clan has had a few weapon refiners, but the highest ranking was only weapon refining Grandmaster, and not one of them could be promoted to Heavenly Blacksmith. The God-sealed spirit map had never been able to figure anything out. Little brother, whether or not you can obtain the gem synthetic master's letter is up to you. Qian Yu lamented, and looked at Tang Huan with a trace of anticipation. Thank you, Lord Qian Yu. Tang Hua took a light breath and walked into the room. The Snake Clan did not take out the existence of this cave dwelling out for free. That day, Qian Yu had once requested that if Tang Huan were to receive a letter from that gem synthetic master in the cave, in the future, if he were to succeed in forging heavenly armaments, he would need to forge 3 pieces for him. This wasn't anything difficult, so Tang Huan naturally agreed without hesitation. Now, all he wanted to do was to see if he could really find something here. The room was about 10 meters wide and had no decorations. On the wall facing the door, there were countless small engravings. It was so dense that it was dazzling. At first glance, they looked like neatly arranged text, but when he looked again, he discovered that they were all crisscrossing lines. They seemed chaotic and disorderly, yet seemed to contain endless mysteries. This spirit map is magical indeed. Tang Huan thought for a while, then closed his eyes slightly. When he opened his eyes again, the 9 Yang Divine Furnace and the 5 Colors True Spirit had already been operating to their limits. The genuine Qi circulated freely in his body, and in an instant, the perception ability had risen to its limit as it encompassed the entire wide wall. After a moment, Tang Huan was already immersed in it. At the door, Qian Yu and Hu Zhao exchanged a glance, then quietly closed the door, no longer disturbing Tang Huan. Time passed slowly. After an unknown amount of time, Tang Huan suddenly heaved a sigh of relief, and slowly turned her gaze away. Her pretty face was filled with exhaustion. He tried to deduce the God-sealed spirit map on the wall, but before he could even understand 10% of it, he felt a little exhausted. However, the completed deductions of the spirit map had allowed Tang Huan to reap a lot of benefits. As if he had suddenly learned everything, he felt that his abilities in the spirit map had improved by quite a bit. If he could comprehend this entire set of God-sealed spirit map, Tang Huan's tools method attainments would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. As a result, although Tang Huan was exhausted, he was still extremely excited. Immediately, Tang Huan summoned a few initial spirit heavenly crystal from within the Sumeru magical ring, and then activated Great Harmony Heavenly Classics to its limits, and then began to harmonize his qi and cultivate. When Tang Huan became energetic once again, he removed all of the distracting thoughts from his mind and immersed himself once again into the spirit map. Chapter 797, Transforming the Void into the 9 Revolutions, the Great Way of the Heavenly Path. Unknowingly, a month had already passed. Hu Zhao and the others would enter the cave once every few days or so, but they would not disturb Tang Huan. They would only silently push open the door and leave, and would still place some fresh fruits in every single time. However, Tang Huan had never moved. After arriving at the true spirit level, Even if he did not eat or drink for a month, he would not feel hungry. Another day passed. In the room, Tang Huan suddenly exclaimed in surprise, shock written all over his face. This God-sealed spirit map indeed contained the gem synthetic master's letter. Amongst the spirit map, there were many nodes, which were spirit essences. Every time he tried to deduce the location of a spiritual well, a portion of the gem synthetic master's letter would be revealed. In this kind of situation, when Tang Huan looked at the wall again, what appeared in front of him were no longer lines, but characters. The handwritten letter recorded the success or failure of many divine-level stone. Tang Huan had benefited a lot from the successful fusion of their wood attribute spiritual fire and gem synthetic master S, as well as from the high-level divine-level stone to the heaven-level divine-level stone. It was hard to imagine how much he had benefited from it. Of course, the gem synthetic masters of Heaven Stage were able to fuse Heaven Stage divine level stone. As for that gem synthetic master's tools method attainments, just by looking at this God-sealed spirit map, one could guess a bit. According to Tang Huan's judgment, the God-sealed spirit map lower grade heavenly blacksmith could be carved out. However, to draw the words God-sealed spirit map so freely and perfectly, it had to at least be a heavenly blacksmith of Heaven Stage. Tang Huan originally thought that the heavenly blacksmithess of Heaven Stage and Heaven Stage were the limit of this master of the cave. After all, weapon refineress with this level of strength were rarely seen in the entire Forging God Great World, and they were also Heaven Rank and Heaven Rank Gem Synthetic Master S. In the era when the master of the cave was still alive, perhaps one could just count them with a single palm. But what surprised Tang Huan was that when he finished deducing the last part of his spirit essence, what he revealed was actually the master of the cave's experience of synthesizing a holy ranked divine level stone. Doesn't this mean that the other party is a saint grade gem synthesizer, and even a saint rank heavenly blacksmith? Saint rank seemed to be the limit of the Forging God Great World's tools method. Strictly speaking, the gem synthesis was also included within the tools method. Sacred, saint-grade gem synthesizer. After the initial shock, Tang Huan could not suppress the joy that surged from the bottom of his heart. This kind of ruin, in the entire Forging God Great World, probably only had a few. This was why he only requested for Tang Huan to forge 3 heavenly soldiers in the future. If Qian Yu knew that this master of the cave's attainment had already reached the supreme saint rank, he would feel regret even in his intestines. And Zhao Dongqing, when he mentioned the cave, he did not care. Qian Yu had even invited him to come with him to the Myriad Caves city, but he hadn't agreed either. If he were to find out about the true state of this cave, he would probably regret it a lot. In a blink of an eye, Tang Huan had already calmed her mind and was frantically absorbing the spirit map that appeared like a sponge. Unknowingly, she had already immersed herself in the process. In a trance, Tang Huan felt as if he had quietly entered a misty green space. Transforming the void into 9 cycles, and the great Tao passes through the heavens. It was as if an ancient voice had traveled through time and space from the endless ancient times. Every note seemed to contain endless mysteries that struck directly into the depths of one's soul, causing one to be unable to help but have an intense urge to bow in worship. Not long later, Gu Yuan's voice congealed into 8 shining green runes, and shot towards Tang Huan's forehead. Buzz! But right at this moment, within the Danshan, the 9 Yang divine furnace was violently trembling. The deepest part of his soul was actually showing an incomparably intense sign of alarm. This is bad. Tang Huan suddenly became clear-headed. Within his mind instructs, in a second, the 9 Yang divine furnace had already been activated to the extreme, and the unprecedented power of the sucking spread throughout his entire body. The moment the 8 cyan characters smashed into the center of his brows, they were drawn towards the power of the sucking, and instantly entered the 9 Yang divine furnace. Was still in the room of the cave, but the 8 characters inside the Danshan 9 Yang divine furnace had turned into rays of cyan light, and instantly condensed into a small cyan figure. The 9 revolutions void, The Great Way of the Heavens. 9 revolutions. The Great Tao connects to the heavens. The green figure repeated this line over and over again. This is. Tang Huan's mind was shaken. At his back, his robes had already been drenched in cold sweat. He had already understood that the green figure was actually a set of residual soul. If not for the 9 Yang divine furnace suddenly signaling, that set of residual soul would have probably seeped into the depths of his soul while he was still in a daze. At that time, he wouldn't have been able to resist at all. If Tang Huan felt that it was not wrong, then the residual soul actually contained a trace of a law of the Tao. This kind of residual soul had completely surpassed Tang Huan's own soul. The two could be said to have a qualitative difference. Once invaded, even if the residual soul was incredibly weak right now, it could gradually become stronger by devouring Tang Huan's soul, and ultimately completely replace Tang Huan. So close, I was almost possessed. Tang Huan heaved a sigh of relief, his eyes revealing a hint of rejoicing. Calming himself down, Tang Huan went over everything he had experienced after entering the cave, and he became even more certain of his judgment. Furthermore, according to Tang Huan's guess, that residual soul should be the owner of that cave. Perhaps he was trying to reach a higher realm and was in danger of falling, or perhaps he was trying to force his enemy to come. He didn't have the confidence to keep his life. The master of the cave left such a God-sealed spirit map as a backup in the room, and it was likely that he did encounter an accident later on. The only thing left behind was a thread of residual soul that escaped and stayed within the God-sealed spirit map. Because of the existence of the spirit map, that residual soul has never been extinguished until today. The God-sealed spirit map S, as well as the letter contained within them, were just bait left behind by the master of the cave. If there was a weapon refiner at the same time who discovered this wondrous spirit map, he would definitely be unable to hold back and go deeper and deeper under the guidance of the bait, until his mind was completely lured and his consciousness sank into a daze. It would be time for the residual soul to make a move. If the possession was successful through such means, the revived master of the cave would definitely possess both the identity of a gem synthetic master and a weapon refiner. No matter how weak he was, he would still be a weapon refiner with astonishing perception ability and limitless potential. Otherwise, it would be impossible to deduce God-sealed spirit map. Chapter 798, Tao Tools. The 9 Revolutions Void. The Great Tao to Heaven. What does that mean? Tang Huan's mind raced as he returned his attention to the Danshan's 9 Yang divine furnace area. The green figure continued to repeat the same 8 words again and again. This should be the strongest will left behind by the master of the cave. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to still be yearning even after 1,000 years with only one residual soul left. However, regardless of what 9 revolutions transcendental Great Way meant, this residual soul had to be completely refined. Leaving it in the cauldron might not pose any threat for the time being, but it was still a hidden danger. In the next moment, the 9 Yang divine furnace and the 5 colors true spirit S started to madly revolve again. The boundless genuine chi was like raging waves, surging into the cauldron with an irresistible force, refining the green figure. After a while, Tang Huan's heart was slightly shocked. Right now, the green figure did not contain a lot of strength, and was probably only equivalent to a rank 1 true spirit cultivator. It was unknown if it was because of the law of the Tao, but his resistance was unusually strong, and he unconsciously sat cross-legged inside the cauldron. Void transformation. The Grand Tao connected to the heavens. 9 revolutions. The Great Tao connects to the heavens. The sound still echoed from within the cauldron. To think that residual soul would be so tenacious. Tang Huan was surprised, but with a quick thought, he was relieved. Only when one's residual soul was this strong would they be able to continue existing within the God-sealed spirit map and maintain that powerful remnant intent. From this, it could be seen that back then, the master of the cave was extremely strong. Although the power of the residual soul itself was not strong, and was even a little weak, the God-sealed spirit map that the master of the cave left behind was incomparably profound, able to actually cause a person to unknowingly open their soul completely. At that moment, even a single soul of the heavenly domain could directly enter. If not for meeting Tang Huan, Even if it were a upper-grade blacksmith, or even a heavenly blacksmith of heaven stage, he would probably be completely tricked. Being seduced by the God-sealed spirit map, the chances of waking up using one's own strength to do so were minuscule, and once invaded by the residual soul, even if one's consciousness awakened, it was impossible to expel the existence of the law of the Tao, so they could only fall into it step by step, and finally be possessed by it. It was also because Tang Huan relied on Nine Yang Divine Furnace that he was even able to recover his consciousness and counter-attack at the last moment. As for the current resistance of his residual soul, Tang Huan did not care at all, now that he was at the helm of the sword, and that residual soul was like a piece of meat. He had plenty of time to wear down his resistance. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, another month passed. It's finally about time. Inside the room, Tang Huan, who was sitting cross-legged, had a satisfied smile on his face. Inside the Nine Yang Divine Furnace, the resistance of the green figure was extremely weak. Until now, he could no longer resist Tang Huan's refinement. In a blink of an eye, Tang Huan had already activated Bodhisattva Fire, wrapping the figure within. The reason why he chose Bodhisattva Fire instead of Nirvana Sacred Fire or Sharp Spiritual Fire, was because that ball of residual soul contained an incomparably pure wood attribute energy. But just as Tang Huan was about to start refining, a light groan suddenly came out from the green figure that was covered by the Bodhisattva Fire. It was as if deep within the residual soul, a consciousness that had been slumbering for countless of years suddenly woke up. Spiritual fire. Would attribute spiritual fire. This old man has finally come back to life. Immediately after, the sound of vigorous laughter rang out from the green figure. A strange expression flashed across Tang Huan's eyes. Under the stimulation of the Bodhisattva Fire, the slumbering consciousness of the residual soul actually woke up. This old man has wasted his efforts on the road to heaven at the last moment. This time, I will definitely not. Before the last word failure could be uttered, the laughter came to an abnormally abrupt halt, replaced by an incredulous cry. How is that possible? Possession failed? This old man spent a great deal of effort to create this God-sealed spirit map, but someone was actually able to get rid of it, and even give this old man a sucking. The Tao artifact. It was actually a Tao item. How could a Tao artifact appear in the Forging God Great World? The voice trembled as if it had seen a ghost. Tao item. Tang Huan could not help but be startled, and then he heard the green figure call out somewhat hysterically. It's actually a Tao artifact. This old man's scheme was all for nothing in the end. Destiny's Will. Previous chapter. Table of Contents. It really is the will of the heavens. As he finished speaking, the green figure's voice had already calmed down, but Tang Huan could feel a kind of dejection and helplessness from his heart. Younger generation, could you let this old man know your name? My name is Tang Huan. Tang Huan slowly said. Tang Huan. Tang Huan. As the green figure muttered this name, his voice actually became weaker and weaker. By the fourth time he recited it, his voice had already completely disappeared. Just by sensing it briefly, Tang Huan discovered that the consciousness in the residual soul had already disappeared completely, which made him feel rather emotional in his heart. The master of the cave used up all his energy to try to seize his body and reincarnate, but in the end, the only result of his efforts was the refinement of his residual soul by the sucking. This was a huge blow, defeating the obsession that had supported Master of the Cave for countless of years. Once that obsession was gone, his consciousness would naturally vanish into thin air. Even though his residual soul was no longer there, the information that was leaked out from those few words caused a large amount of suspicions to arise in his heart. The path to heaven. Tang Huan's mind raced. Master of the Cave was already a saint-grade gem synthesizer. His cultivation must have reached the peak of Forging God Great World. The path to heaven? Could it be that after one's cultivation reached the peak of Forging God Great World, they could go another level higher and the Master of the Cave was defeated in that process? Could it be that in the end, only a small strand of residual soul remained and he wanted to borrow the strength of the God-sealed spirit map to rebirth and try that road to the sky again? Wait a minute. That God-sealed spirit map seemed to be the creator of the Master of the Cave. From this, It seemed that he had existed for more than 1,000 years. It had to be known that the letter to the upper-grade blacksmith that Tang Huan had obtained from Hu Lai was an item from nearly 1,000 years ago. And that so-called Tao artifact, could it be that it was an existence that was even scarier than a saint-rank divine armament? Otherwise, how could it make the residual soul lose control like this? Looks like the sword refine furnace that he brought with him in his previous life wasn't as simple as it looked on the surface. Only after thinking wildly for a while did Tang Huan finally calm his mind. In between his mind instructs, in a second, the bodhisattva fire started to fluctuate violently. Chapter 799. Mutations in the Divine Stove. Streams of green-colored aura were absorbed into the bodhisattva fire, and the green figure became smaller and smaller. Not long after, all that was left was a thick green glow, as if it was a living spirit object that was sparkling and rippling, giving off an incomparably mysterious and miraculous feeling. Law of the Tao. Tang Huan frowned slightly. This remaining strand of cyan light was from the law of the Tao of the Master of the Cave, and was also the most powerful object that the residual soul had. Unfortunately, with his current cultivation, he was still unable to refine such a miraculous item. Hence, leaving it in the cauldron would not be appropriate. He had to think of a way to remove it from the cauldron. Buzz! Just as this thought flashed through his mind, a thunderous roar resounded within the donjon. Almost at the same time, the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace began to tremble in an unusual rhythm. This sudden unusual movement caused Tang Hua to be surprised, and he immediately tried to sense it carefully. Not long after, a trace of understanding emerged in Tang Huan's heart. The Nine-Yang Divine Furnace wanted to devour the thread of the law of the Tao. After understanding the situation, Tang Huan was even more surprised. But he did not stop it. This Nine-Yang Divine Furnace and Tang Huan's relationship could be said to be 1-2-2. Although the current movements of the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace were due to its instincts, not to its dominance, he knew that any actions it made would not harm him, and that was enough. As time passed, Tang Huan could faintly feel that an equally mystical power had emerged from within the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace. The power wasn't released, but was constantly being accumulated. After about 10 breaths of time, that magical power surged out like a volcano erupting, bombarding over. A huge boom resounded, and in the next moment, that strand of law of the Tao turned into numerous green specks of light. Immediately after, the power started to converge and the light spots formed by the law of the Tao were swept away. In an instant, it had completely fused into the cauldron. Buzz! Amidst the intense trembling sounds, the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace instantly emitted billions of bright red lights. Inside and outside the cauldron, the veined patterns that contained an ancient and distant aura seemed to have become a living thing. Sensing the current situation of the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace, Tang Huan could not help but feel a tinge of surprise. He could faintly feel that after the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace absorbed the sliver of law of the Tao from the Master of the Cave's residual soul, it seemed to have undergone a strange change. However, he was unclear as to exactly what had changed in the past. But what is certain is that this is not a bad thing. Before long, the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace had returned to its original state and was slowly spinning inside the donjon. Tang Huan's heart itched. It was as if there were thousands of ants crawling around. He immediately rid himself of all distracting thoughts and forced himself to calm down, beginning to sense them carefully. After a short moment, strands of red qi leaked out from the cauldron, rising up along the spiritual meridian, and finally fusing into the soul. In Tang Huan's mind, a large amount of information instantly appeared. So that's how it is. With his eyebrows raised, a hint of a smile of enlightenment flashed across Tang Huan's eyes. In the next moment, with a thought from Tang Huan, a ball of dense yet heavy red qi came out from the donjon in front of him like a flood. It quickly gathered in front of him and in an instant, it transformed into a Nine-Yang Divine Furnace. However, it was already much smaller than when Tang Huan first obtained it. As for the inside of the donjon, only a faint shadow of the Nine-Yang Divine Furnace remained. The Nirvana Sacred Fire, Bodhisattva Fire, Zhuanming Initial Fire and Sharp Spiritual Fire, as well as Tang Huan's Conqueror Spear, dragon slaughtering saber and several other divine armament were still inside the Danshan furnace. As expected, Tang Huan lightly clasped his hands and couldn't help but slightly frown as he slowly muttered, after absorbing that sliver of law of the Tao, the Nine Yang divine furnace can already leave the body. This kind of Nine Yang divine furnace can not only be used to forge weapons, it can also be used to synthesize divine-level stones. It is definitely a sharp weapon used by weapon refiner and the gem synthetic master. In that moment, Tang Huan felt an intense impulse from the bottom of his heart, and wished for nothing more than to try it right away. Only after a long while did the bottom of Tang Huan's heart calm down a little. It was at this time that the sound of extremely light footsteps came from outside the room. Still, Tang Huan's heart moved slightly as a red light flashed within his mind instructs. In a second, Nine Yang divine furnace had already fused into his lower abdomen, merging together with the illusion of the cauldron within the Danshan. After a moment, the door was gently pushed open, and that sexy figure immediately appeared at the door, with some fresh fruits on the tray in her hands. As before, he tiptoed into the room, put down the tray, and picked up the fruit he had previously scaled. He habitually looked at Tang Huan, who was sitting cross-legged and was about to turn around and leave when he was suddenly stunned. His eyebrows instantly revealed a look of pleasant surprise. "Brother Tang, how is it going?" In these past 2 months, he had been here a dozen or 20 times, and every time, he would see Tang Huan facing the figure of the God-sealed spirit map who was sitting motionlessly. But this time, after she had entered, Tang Huan turned his head over, obviously stopping his deductions of God-sealed spirit map. "At least I got something out of it." Tang Huan smiled as he stood up, and then with a movement of his feet, he appeared in front of Lady Yiran. "Thank you very much. If I am able to successfully forge a heavenly soldier this time, and become a true lower-grade heavenly blacksmith, I will definitely help Lady Yiran forge a low-leveled heavenly soldier." "Really?" It was still a pleasant surprise. A brilliant smile appeared on her beautiful face, as proud as a blossoming flower, intoxicating. "Of course." Tang Huan laughed and said, "Lady Yiran, let's go out together now. It's about time for me to bid farewell to Lord Qian Yu." He was stunned at first, but soon after, he asked in disbelief, "Have you finished deducing the entire God-sealed spirit map?" Seeing Tang Huan smile and nod her head, she couldn't help but be stunned. Her beautiful eyes widened until they were round, and her small cherry lips had even opened wide enough to fit an egg inside. Although she was not a weapon refiner, she had heard of the mystical powers of the God-sealed spirit map before. In forging God Great World, for the first time meeting a God-sealed spirit map, even if it was the simplest, it was said that lower-grade heavenly blacksmith would need at least half a year to complete its deductions. But now, Tang Huan had actually only used a short 2 months' time. Moreover, the God-sealed spirit map in the cave was probably not fated with anything. "Lady Yiran, weirdo." After a long while, only then did those who heard Tang Huan's voice wake up as if from a dream. Chapter 800, Ice Soul Divine Stone. 10 days later, Tiger Vigor Summit. As the door closed, Tang Huan sat cross-legged on the prayer mat inside the hall. He had returned to Tiger Clan the day before yesterday. That day, when Tang Huan asked to return, Qian Yu did not stop him. Hu Lai was initially worried that the Snake Clan had plans, but from the looks of the situation, she had indeed worried too much. Tang Huan had also tried to probe before, to see if Qian Yu knew of the existence of the Master of the Cave's residual soul. No matter if Qian Yu truly did not know, or if he had disguised himself too well, it was already irrelevant. That residual soul had already turned into dust, and Tang Huan had actually obtained a huge harvest. At this moment, in front of Tang Huan, a dazzling array of gems was laid out. The one on the far left was as big as a fist. It was sparkling and shiny purple light, but in the center of the gem, there was a mass of extremely rich cyan energy that was constantly fluctuating. From afar, it looked like a small, beautiful cyan flame. There were a total of 3 of them. A few days ago, the Eagle Clan had sent someone to deliver them to the Wind Howling City. The moment Tang Huan returned to the Tiger Clan, Hu Qian came over. Other than the 3 azure fire purple light stone, There were 6 other lower-grade divine stone. 2 of them were from Tiger Clan, and the other 4 were from Snake Clan. When Tang Huan and Hu Zhao left the Myriad Caves city, Qian Yu gave them to Tang Huan to bring back to the forging heavenly armaments. There were a total of 9 pieces of divine stone here, and all of them were synthetic. Despite their small size, they were shockingly heavy. The lightest one of them weighed at least 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, while the heaviest one weighed at least 10,000 pounds. Of course, compared to the natural divine stone that the high-grade raw stone contained, this was just child's play. The aura emitted by these divine-level stone were ultra-anical beyond compare. If all 9 were successfully forged, then these 9 lower-grade divine stone could be used to craft 9 low-leveled heavenly soldiers. In the current forging god great world, most likely no heavenly blacksmith would be able to achieve a 100% success rate while still in the forging heavenly armaments. Even saint-rank heavenly blacksmiths would have a chance of failure when forging a low-ranked heavenly soldier, but the probability was rather low, and they could fail even if there were 10 of them. But to the lower-grade heavenly blacksmith, 2 or 3 of the 10 attempts of forging heavenly armaments were already considered good. So if he could succeed in 5 of them, the success rate would be shocking. Because of this, when Tang Huan said his goodbyes, she said that out of the 4 pieces of divine stone, 1 would be satisfied with forging to the heavenly soldier. As for the other 2 heavenly soldiers and Tang Huan's promise to send over to heavenly soldier who was still forging, Snake Clan would gather enough divine level stone as soon as possible. Before forging heavenly armaments, let's first try to synthesize divine level stone. Tang Huan thought the former needed to use divine level stone, while the latter used those unique divine weapon catalog and saint grade gem. Although the forging process of the 2 was different, the difference in difficulty shouldn't be too great. When Tang Huan was still a weapon refining grandmaster, he had already created many divine armament. Now that his cultivation was higher and his tools method attainments was stronger, he naturally did not feel that it was difficult to forge a low-level heavenly soldier. Relatively speaking, synthesizing divine-level stone was a bit more challenging. Let's try out that Ice Soul divine stone first, Tang Huan muttered softly. With a slight thought, he kept the 9 piece of divine stone in front of him back in the Sumeru magical ring. With a flick of his body, he began to walk slowly amidst the stones. The Snake Clan had recorded more than 20 divine-level stone formulas in the letter that the master of the cave was hiding within the God-sealed spirit map. The Ice Soul divine stone was one of them. Refining pills required a formula, and refining a divine-level stone required a formula as well. Synthesizing a lower-grade divine stone required a variety of gems. It was possible that all of them were saint-grade gems, but there was also a possibility that there would be a small amount of heavenly ranked, high-ranked, or even middle-ranked gems. There was an extremely strict requirement for each of the gems. The gems were fused first, and then the gems were fused later. Otherwise, any mistake would result in a failure to synthesize the gems, wasting a large amount of precious materials. It was one thing for the fusion of the lower-grade divine stone to fail, but what was lost were gems of the saint rank or below. However, if the fusion of middle-stage divine-level stone failed, the losses would not only be saint-level and lower-stage stones, there would also be lower-grade divine stone. If the fusion of saint-grade gem failed, the losses would be even worse. Even if it only failed once, it would cause a sect to lose everything. From this, it could be seen how important the divine-level stone formula was. For the gem synthetic master, if they invented a kind of divine-level stone recipe, or modified a kind of divine-level stone formula, once it spread out, their name would immediately shake the whole world. The icy sharping spiritual stone weighs 850 kilograms, the profound leaf stone weighs 300, the frost dew stone weighs 12 kilograms, and the fantasy moonstone weighs 46 kilograms. Tang Huan found all kinds of gems and moved them to the palace. According to the description in the recipe, there were a total of 8 required gems to synthesize Ice Soul divine stone. All of them were saint-grade gems, which could be found in the palace. Of these 8 gems, 6 of them were stones that Tang Huan had recognized from his small world, and the remaining 2 were gems that he had only recognized yesterday. After returning to the Wind-Howling City, Tang Huan immediately spent an entire day's worth of time to stroll around the entire city's gem store, those gems that he had never seen in the small realms but which were quite common in Forging God Great World. Although he did not know them all by heart, he could at least call them by their names. After a while, all 8 gems were found. Then, with a thought, Tang Huan took out the scale he bought yesterday from the Sumeru magical ring. Not every gem of the same type had the same size and weight. It was said that when the gem synthetic master first synthesized divine level stones and prepared the materials, all sorts of gems were discussed. However, in the end, the gems gradually evolved to be counted by a jinn, which meant that the weight of the gems was controlled even more accurately, and the success rate of the divine level stone was also higher. After a long while, Tang Huan finally finished weighing the gem. With that thought, a thick ball of fire-red chi roared out from the dungeon, and in a blink of an eye, a 9-yang divine furnace had already condensed and formed in front of Tang Huan. Begin. Tang Huan savored the recipe of the Ice Soul Divine Stone once again. After that he took a light breath. With a wave of his right hand, a strong wave of energy wrapped around half of the icy sharping spiritual stone and sent it into the cauldron. Immediately, Tang Huan held on to the 2 ears of the cauldron with both hands. Immediately after, 2 days of green flames whizzed out from Tang Huan's palm and extended out along the cauldron. In the blink of an eye, the entire 9-yang divine furnace was completely engulfed within. As the green flames burned fiercely, an incomparably boundless and rich life force surged and boiled within the cauldron. This was the Bodhisattva fire, a type of fire of vitality. The reason why spiritual fire could only become gem synthetic master was because it could give the gem life force, and then use life force as a bond, causing different types of gems to have strange reactions, and this was something any other type of spiritual fire could not do.